Nice of you all to drop in.
Howdy.
Howdy. Okay. And once again, our
boys
friends are still gone. Have you heard from them?
Yeah, they're doing okay.
They're doing okay.
Getting in a little trouble.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, they can tell us all about when they get
Well,
home.
one of them is a gnome.
Yeah.
Well, no, he is. I forget what he's called. But he's related to Dimitri, and he's a gnome. So he's got little magic tricks. And then, Grobu's, alien.
Yeah.
So
wonderful.
They're having fun with camp counselors.
Well, that's great. So, folks, if this is your first time here, you'll enjoy I hope you enjoy our content. If you do, let your friends and neighbors and coworkers know. Did they identify?
Yeah. First.
Okay. Well.
So I'm Mark.
I'm Elmer.
And this is Marc and Elmer's PSI Piano Scene Investigations.
Yes.
So go ahead with your thing.
Okay, yeah. If you like our content, if you like our topics, if you enjoy us as part of your household company, give us a thumbs up, ring that notification bell, subscribe, comment below on what you like about us or not like about us. I don't know, whatever you have. Family, friends, neighbors, co-workers, let them know about us.
Yeah, let them know.
Yeah.
So we consider ourselves kind of musical historians and archaeologists. Our focus is primarily from the point of view of the piano world. But the image that we use often, and I'll probably put it up again when I talk about it now, is a big old iceberg. And icebergs are really cool because what you see above the water, depending on the size of the iceberg, is 1/4 to 1/3 of the actual size of the iceberg.
Wow.
The rest of it's underwater. And the way we tend to refer to it is scratching the underbelly of the iceberg to just recall and celebrate the history and the traditions and the people in making classical music who there's just not enough room up there on the top of the iceberg for all of it. Yeah. Those guys up there, it's like the big composers, the big super performers, past and present, and stuff like that. So there's a lot of us. I consider myself one. I had a good career, still do, doing my things. I recently got an invitation to do a private house concert. So I'm going to be working on that. I've got private work.
Okay, cool.
So I'm still doing stuff, and I did a whole bunch of things that recorded on the internet.
Yeah.
Beginning with the COVID year and thereafter. But anyway, I'm one of the under the water kind of guys on the iceberg. I figured just, I'm doing my thing, like lots and lots and lots of people have. But I ain't no Horowitz.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty damn good, but I ain't no Horowitz.
Because there's some of that part of the iceberg. I consider myself an underwater inhabitant, chipping away at the, examining the actual bottom of the iceberg, going, gee, I wonder what's this? Oh, where's that? So, anyways, I hope you enjoyed episode 26. I watched episode 26 twice now. And, I've even perused through some of the old ones, and I've come to the conclusion at this point, I kind of look at ourselves as either mad geniuses or the last surviving divinely touched members of, I don't know, the Dead Poets Society.
Geeks.
Yeah. So
I don't tend
anyways,
to wear the pencil case anymore.
Oh.
I
still do. I still do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we have fun and we love it. Well, look, it's from passion and from love, and both of us. I really enjoy my friendship with Elmer because we grew up, Finley's a couple hours away.
Yeah.
2 hours apart in Western Ohio.
Yeah.
But sufficiently so, he's more from the Toledo-ish area up in the northwest.
Bowling Green. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm from closer down, getting towards the south, down towards Dayton and eventually Cincinnati.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Perhaps I'm surprised we have very similar kinds of bringing
very
people
similar.
up and
Similar.
access to what we have
Yeah,
in terms of
very similar.
teachers and resources and things like that.
Yeah.
And just fortunate to kind of discover each other and this love that we have for what we do and just wanting to share it. That's what it is, So, I mean, if for people that are shut in a little bit, I know we do a lot of talking stuff, but hopefully sometimes the people are just lonesome and they want to hear some people talking.
Yeah.
Talking about music. Now, we don't play the music on our show.
No.
I do know that you can do up to like 30 seconds, but still, I believe you have to have a license. I used to do radio broadcasting.
Oh, yeah.
And I had a third-class federal radio operating license.
Okay.
And that allows you, now you could play music.
Yeah.
You had permission to do that. In some cases, you had to get permission directly from the labels. But I think we would be allowed to do like 30 seconds, but part of the problem is I don't know how to do that in our show. And I don't think 15 seconds or 30 seconds is worth it. So we don't really listen to it, but we talk about it. And then the things we talk about, you can easily look that stuff up on YouTube and listen to it yourselves and stuff like that, unless it's something wildly rare. But my God, YouTube has everything its mother on it, it seems like.
Oh, yeah.
So, a lot of stuff. I mean, we go buying these recordings and stuff, and to be honest, the stuff is already up on the internet for free.
Yeah.
But it's
But I like feeling.
We're collectors.
I like feeling the actual material right there. Nothing like it. Before we start, I'm going to give my pitch to
here he goes.
our piano polish.
This guy better
official.
pay up eventually.
We'll see. This is Corey's piano polish. There you go. This is super high gloss for all the nice grand pianos or upright pianos. This is for you. Carry this wherever I go. Don't leave home without it. I'm allowed to say that?
Yeah.
Don't leave home without
I
it?
suppose so. Why not?
Okay, well.
I don't think they use that expression anymore.
Oh, okay. Well, I just don't want to be accused of plagiarism.
Yeah, and since he has it with him all the time, occasionally when he's performing for your kids, he spritz a little bit up there for hair tonic.
Yeah, I mean,
Pumps it in.
Yeah, it helps the whole. The whole. Okay, so recently you had sent me links of our man Yoon Chan Lim.
Oh yeah.
From a couple of years ago. He's not 18 years old anymore. He is now 20 years old.
Wow.
He's 20 years old. And
I saw a picture of him at For Beer.
Yeah.
He's wearing his hair. It reminds me of Evgeny Kissin.
It does?
He's not doing that little Dutch mop thing, but it looked a little different. And I saw
it's part of
his hair and the face.
Yeah.
And I thought, that looks like Kissin when he was that age.
Yeah, that's about right. Yeah, before it starts.
And I suppose we haven't. Well, I mean, you jazz was a thing unto herself, right? And there are some really great young pianists doing stuff, but I don't think the world has had this kaboom experience probably since the days when Evgeny Kissin showed up.
Yeah.
Because again, I was like super busy in my own studies and career and everything, and I wasn't, there at the time when he made his big splash. Everybody's kissing this, kissing that,
Oh yeah. Well, he was a kid. He was still considered a child prodigy even at 18.
Yeah. But he hit the planet like a comet, and as has Yoon Chan.
Yeah.
So what do you want to say about it?
What do I want to say? Well, I got to see the video of him performing the transcription from Bach's Siciliano.
Oh yeah, you watched that?
Siciliano, yeah,
I didn't watch
it.
that yet.
Yeah, it's about
That's
5 minutes long.
It's Kemp's.
It's Kemp's arrangement?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's either Kemp's or...
It's not mine. I have a published one.
Yeah, I know you do.
No, it said in the article on the February Pencil.
Yeah.
That it's Kemp's arrangement.
It's Kemp's? Okay, I didn't see that. But apparently, he also did The Emperor?
Yeah, I would love to hear that.
Yeah, I know, that's interesting.
This guy went on and on and on. I mean, just couldn't stop the poetic superlative.
Yeah.
I mean, he loved the orchestra, the players in it. Certain people singled out the clarinet, lead French horn. And it was really nice because it reminds me of some performances I've seen with some other people where they really, it's not early music approach, but they treat the concerto the way they probably would have done is more a chamber-like interaction with the players in the orchestra. And Schnabel apparently did that when he played Mozart.
Yeah.
He would really look at the soloist, the wind section, and try to do things together. Yeah. It was a wonderful write-up about the performance.
Oh yeah, I'm sure there was. I mean, you really couldn't go wrong, but I'm glad his hands are much better.
Yeah, he's also got a specialist. Yeah, I doubt that he'd be doing anything to hurt him, so I hope so, because, I mean, he can wait a little while to make the money, but it'd be a shame if anything happened. But I imagine his teacher, between him and his teacher, they're pretty smart.
Oh yeah, people, especially the way his teacher plays.
He has such immense talent. I mean, he has the wherewithal to be like Michelangelo or Horowitz, if they want to just retire for a while.
Oh yeah.
They'll be able to do that. And I think for an artist of his sensitivity and stature, I could see where that could happen, in the future.
Yeah. Just
take a break and reconsider things. Because my guess he's getting top dollar.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he is. I'm sure he is. I hope he's got a lot of energy left. So we've got quite a bit of material here. Before we move on to our most exciting segments, I want to give you guys a little feature here about what's to come. Perhaps in a couple more weeks, we might be giving this a look at and a little overview of what Gieseking and
Carl
Leimer are talking about in this book. Get yours now. It's on Dover. Then later on in the year, or next year, Lechatitsky. We all know all about him. And this is Alexander, what's his name? Peskanov, Russian Technical Regiment. See, or at the piano. Take a good look at it. So these are all what we get to look forward to in the near future. Get yours now. Okay, so I've had an interesting couple days here. What do you say we go with? Oh, you want to go?
No.
All right. Well,
at some point.
I was thinking that maybe we could do PSI's High Plains Thrifter.
Oh, that's good because that's what this.
That's what this is. Okay. All right. Well.
Yeah. Okay, we're gonna do that.
Yes. So introducing. You know us from before. We've donned our hats, donned our backpacks.
Where's your hat?
I'm sorry.
You don't have a hat.
Oh. Tell you, I'll find a hat. Okay, whether it's a ball cap.
But just remind me, we got some in the closet.
Yeah, I know you do. Introducing PSI High Plains Thrifter.
Let's see. That should be about it.
Yeah, that should be long enough.
So, we're back.
Yes, we're back. Once again, welcome to PSI's High Plains Thrifter. Okay, so, anyways, did you want to share first, or do you want me to
No, you
first?
go ahead.
Okay, hold on. Okay, gosh, I'm sorry, folks. one of my students is trying to contact me. So I've got I have a few material here, some of it very exciting. I went to the Half Price bookstore the other day, 2 days ago, at over here in Lewis Center, and I found this one right here. Yes, on Hyperion, a release from the International Bach Competition winner. Don't know what year, but she won gold. Angela Hewitt. Recorded Beethoven sonatas.
That was a while ago.
Yes, Opus 13.
She's a Canadian pianist that plays the Italian pianos, right? What's the big Italian?
Fazzoli.
She's the one whose piano was dropped and broken.
Fazzoli's?
Or Fazzoli. She travels with it. And
they dropped
I think it happened in England that the cable snapped or something, and it literally it destroyed part of the inside, so it wasn't usable again. So she had to get a whole new one. But you know, it's like if you have your favorite violin and something terrible really happens to it, and that's it. Because those kind of pianos are very personal.
Oh yeah, very personal.
She traveled with that thing. Can you imagine?
Wow.
Yeah, that's Angela Hewitt.
This is Angela Hewitt.
She's Canadian from somewhere up there.
Yeah, I think so.
So you said she's playing Beethoven?
Yeah, Beethoven Pathétique, the Opus 28 Pastoral, and the Opus 2 number 3 C major.
And I apologize, I was wrong about that in the last show. I corrected Elmer and said that they were Opus 3. But I was thinking, no, there's 3 sonatas, but it's Opus 1, 2, and 3.
Yes. Okay, anyways, yeah, Opus 2 number 3, piano number.
She plays the C major one.
Yes, and that's a real doozy. Take a good look at it. Beautiful CD. Anyways, yeah, you said this is an old one?
Has to be if it's listed her as if it listed her as a prize winner. Yeah, 2006. Yeah.
Yeah. 2006.
That makes sense.
That makes
that'd
sense.
be 18 years ago. I don't know. I think she's in her 40s or something. And, well, good for you.
Yes.
Have you listened to it?
I have.
Yeah.
I have. Yes.
Is it good?
Oh, it's very good. I mean, it has a. I mean, I need to listen to some more of these more up-to-date recordings, because some of these young upcoming pianists, they exhibit a rawness and sort of a different kind of sensitivity. I mean, it's just different, you know, rather than, I don't know, how would you say it, but there's a different level of conviction when approach to these pieces from the older pianists that I know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Rubinstein, Cassatt-Sue, Claude Franck, Daniel Barenboim.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just really different.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, what else did I bring out? Find. I found the Treatise on Harmony by Jean-Philippe Rameau.
Wow.
And check this.
Somebody's textbook, isn't it?
Yeah, it belonged to. Well, I'm not going to say her name.
Oh,
it belonged to somebody.
What?
I have no idea.
Oh.
Well, I don't know the person
You're
personally,
right.
but there's a name on here. Believe it or not, this is published by Dover. It's actually a hardback. I didn't know Dover had hardbacks.
I didn't either.
Hardback. Check it out. And it definitely looks like Dover
Did you pay
because it has.
$2 for that?
I'm sorry?
$2?
I paid $3
3
for this one.
Mm-hmm.
But take a good look at it.
You gonna read it?
Am I going to? Oh, absolutely. Darn right I'm going to be reading it. And I have to, because of the upcoming stuff I'm going to be talking about right here on PSI.
Ooh, that's a heavy book.
It is a heavy book. And this guy, I mean, harmony, you know, it's a harmony study. Anyways, so I found that book. Yes, I'm going to read it.
Wow.
Because, you know, I've read Pistons. Okay, we had to study harmony by Piston. Well, what's his first name? Walter Piston.
Walter
Piston, and so I'm sure
very good condition.
his take on harmony is much different. So there's another copy for half price.
This?
Yeah, but it's more expensive. This one I got on the clearance. The other one is not on clearance. It's still on the shelf.
I guess this came out of somebody's library
That's my
when
guess.
they didn't need it anymore for some reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's an excellent condition.
treatise on harmony.
Yeah.
Treatise. It even has a special section here at the beginning about how to translate some of the little squigglies, the crosses, and these snake things with the cross.
That's an important book from the period of time. This is with the awakening of the French intelligentsia. So it's like from the time of Descartes, one of the great mathematician philosophers. And then there's Rameau, who was writing about music. And then there was Jean-Jacques Rousseau, a little bit later on, as a great philosopher. And there was Diderot, who was the famous creator of basically the first modern encyclopedia.
Wow.
In French, of course. But it was a great time, I think, at the beginning of Louis XIV's court. That man was incredibly influential in kind of bringing in the modern world. Of course, he lived to be an old guy, and he was king from, I think, when he was a boy until he died. And I think it's possible he was at least 65 years active as the king, maybe longer. And everybody and their mother was connected with that court. I mean, Jean-Baptiste Louis.
Yeah.
And Rameau was another composer.
Yeah.
There's a lot of mathematics in his book. It's very interesting, and I have a feeling it could be because of the Jesuits that might have influenced this to some extent, but there was an extraordinary awakening in the 1600s in the sciences. And I mean, in some cases, the work that the French were doing precipitated the things that happened in the 18th century, in the late 1700s. The United States, influenced by Rousseau and John Locke's writings, other people at the time, and then, of course, the French Revolution was also brought about by certain things like that. And France had a lot to do with introducing that. And I'll just say one more thing too. It's just if you followed along, then there was Napoleon, and originally Napoleon's idea was to get rid of the royal houses and establish true republics. And everybody was real excited about that. Beethoven was excited about that. It was a big deal. And in fact, he made it all the way through Europe. They were down in at least northern Italy, possibly as far down as Naples. And of course, I don't know if they didn't get in Spain, I don't think, but all of Central Europe, Poland, I think they fought with the Scandinavians. He finally got, he got stopped in Russia.
Oh, yeah.
Hitler did too. Just that distance from the frontier to Moscow or Leningrad is so vast, and it's flat, and you're exposed. And the Russians, traditionally, the way they defended themselves was they'd remove the peasants, bring them inland, and burn the villages and burn the farms, kill the animals. So there was nothing for the army to feed on.
Wow.
And that's how both Hitler and Napoleon got hit. Now, Beethoven was pissed off with Napoleon when he made himself emperor of the empire that he created, because he thought it was such a betrayal of what could have been a wonderful thing. But it's interesting because the French went between republics and kingdoms at least 3 times into the 20th century. Of course, they're a republic and have remained so. But it's very interesting. Michael Moore does a video, I forget which one it was, but he explores the public health or health systems between the United States and other places. And he looks at the French guy who's a waiter in a very nice bar restaurant in Paris, but he has a pretty bad accident. And he's out like for 6 months to 8 months or something like that. And they show him having a good time in the south of France on the beach, recovering and feeling good. And he, they take care of certain things. And then his job's still there when he comes back. And might piss some people off, but look at what the French have done in the name of democracy sometimes. And I think they give America a run for its money sometimes. We claim to be a democracy, but when it suits the capitalists for us to think so. Now you got me pegged, right? So, but anyway, so good for you with that book. And good for you wanting to read it, because, I made some dents in it years ago.
Oh, you have this book?
No.
Oh.
But we had to read it.
Oh.
And I'm too old and have too little time left in my life to spend on that book.
Well, to tell you the truth, it interests me.
Yeah.
Because, part of composing
very
is
complete.
Yeah. I mean, part of composing is understanding how you move from harmony to harmony.
Yeah.
I've always had that problem. Now, if I write something, I use the standard progressions, that we learned out of our, just from some of the pieces that we learned and reading through church hymnals, I guess. But it's what comes in between the chords that's important. Oh, gosh. And one of my colleagues, and, well, you know who you are. He's from New Philadelphia. You know who I am. We used to sit through our music theory classes, and our professor would have the toughest time trying, and he reiterated this time after time again. And he'd come in, and he'd slam his books on the desk, and he'd say, "Class, how many times do I have to tell you? When you do your assignments, you must play through them." And so I remember sitting in the back of the class, and and he says, he'd say, "Let me play some of these for you." And I couldn't help, I'm sitting back there, and I'm trying to stifle myself from laughing. And New Philadelphia, you understand what I'm talking about. That's what I'm going to call him from now on, New Philadelphia. You know who you are. I'd sit there in the back of the class, and I'd start out like this, and eventually my face would be turning so red, I finally had to put my head down like this. Then when I couldn't take it anymore, I'd go, I finally had to let it out. And of course, our good professor up front would say, "Well, I'm glad some of you find this humorous." So, oh gosh. Some of them were so afraid of passing tones and non-harmonic tones that they would put like eighth rests in between chords, so that the passing tone didn't clash with the existing harmony. You know what I'm talking about?
Of course, yeah.
So
that's what it's all about, people.
So yeah. I mean,
Passitones, passing gas, that's what life is about, right?
So,
and sometimes the passing tones sound like passing gas.
Yeah. And so, hence why this kind of material interests me, okay? So that I know how to use and manipulate harmony. Okay.
I'd also suggest another thing to do.
Yeah.
Professor Wynn had me do this. Yeah. And then I kind of started doing it for fun. I was taking the fugues in order to just write them down and see them clearer and everything. I used to transpose fugues into string trios and string quartets.
Yes, yeah.
And write the parts out like that. And I mean, actually, in the old days, that was the way you learned a lot about music.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
copying the music.
Yes.
And some movements of some particular works of Beethoven,
Mm-hmm.
the sonatas,
Yeah.
like you have to copy them. But if you sat down and did a good Roman numeral analysis,
Yeah.
you can do that.
Oh, yeah.
You can learn a lot from the boy that way.
Oh, yeah.
That and actually some of the symphonies too.
Mm-hmm.
String quartets as well.
Oh, yeah.
We analyzed a bunch of stuff in Beethoven's. There's a lot to be learned in there that way. But if you do it straight treatise-wise, why not?
Yes,
Good
absolutely.
for you.
Yeah, I mean, just to show you how much of a geek I am.
I never read the whole thing. I read parts of it.
New Philadelphia and I, we still have arguments and discussions and debates over
Good for you.
music theory and how harmony works.
Good for you.
We still have debates about that. It happens at least half a dozen or so times a year.
Oh,
And,
cool.
and believe it or not, we've had moments where we were so adamant about our own opinions that we stopped talking for about a couple of weeks.
Good for you.
Pretty bad.
There's passion.
Yeah. So anyways, yeah, it's a French composer, Jean-Philippe Rameau. Somebody must have been getting rid of their... Because I found this, also from Dover.
Wow.
Check it out, folks. These are the complete keyboard works of Francois Couperin. Oh, I'm off center. There it is.
It was an amazing 18th century clavecinist,
Yes.
as they say.
Yeah, and you wouldn't think it would, and some, pianists don't think it works on a modern grand, but I've actually seen some of it work on the grand. Gregory Sokolov has been performing some Couperin lately. So,
Some good stuff.
yeah, well, look.
Yeah.
So
I don't have these. I have some of his music, and I probably could have access to it all through IMSLP, but
Yeah. Now, I haven't done anything by Couperin. Nothing. I mean, zilch. And I know I know next to nothing about who he is or what he did. I've only heard the name, and that's about it. Now, as far as Rameau goes, I dabbled through a few of his works. La Tambourin and La Poule and...
There's a French composer's book that Dover put out. It's white. And quite a bit of the beginning of the book is this old stuff. The clavicinists and all that stuff. There's a bunch of folks in there until you get to the 19th century and thereafter. But there's quite a bit of stuff at the beginning of it.
Wow.
Yeah. Rameau and Couperin. Who wrote the Cuckoo?
The Cuckoo? Oh, Daquin.
Daquin.
Daquin?
Daquin, yeah.
What's his first name?
I don't know.
You don't know?
Yeah.
Oh, I think it's Louis. Louis?
Could be.
It's Louis. I think it's Jean-Louis Daquin. Yeah, the Cuckoo. Yeah, that's a...
This is a famous one. Et I'm going to
Okay, yeah, I don't know that one. But, yeah, Gregory Sokolov is... I saw in one of his videos, he's performing Soiree, or something like that.
Soiree.
It's basically Sister Monique.
Oh, le sœur.
It's Sir?
Sœur.
Okay.
Ma sœur or la sœur. Monique.
So, anyways. Yeah. Look at all those twists and turns.
Oh, this one I like too.
What is it?
Little windmills.
Oh.
That's a good one too.
That is a good one.
He gives them these poetic titles. It's very interesting that he gives poetic titles to the compositions. Here's one, La Douce et Piquante. Sweet and sour.
Sweet and sour?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. We should do Chinese sometime. Sweet and sour.
It reminds me of Debussy's Preludes.
Oh, yeah.
Now, Debussy always wrote the titles at the end of the music because he wanted it to be more like, after I played this, it reminded me of this.
Yeah.
Rather than put it at the beginning and then have people programmatically try to create that, necessarily create that image. He thought it would be too constricted. That's why all the preludes are just numbered, and then they have the how to play them descriptively, but the titles are always at the end. Yeah. But yeah, this is good stuff. Yeah. You found it what, $2 a piece?
No, it's a half price book, so I actually paid $10 for each one.
Really?
Yeah, $10, $10.
That's
That was
not
about
bad.
$20. No, I didn't pay $2 a piece, not for this.
So this wasn't all in the clearance area. You actually went looking for this.
Yeah, these two were not.
Yeah, obviously.
Okay,
yeah.
they were not.
That
this one was.
Yeah.
Okay, that one was.
Wow.
But like I said, there's another copy of it in the main section.
There's no names in the music?
I'm sorry?
There's no name in the music?
Oh, you mean the owner?
No.
No, there's no name.
I wonder if it belonged to the same person.
Yeah, I was wondering about that too, since they're both French. You know, so.
And they're in excellent shape.
Yes, absolutely.
Took really nice care of them.
But the only difference, except for that, and that's about it.
That's a clearance
mark.
Or yeah, they do that in the stores to show us they can't charge full price for it for whatever reason.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, cool.
Technically, that damages the book.
I know. I hate it when they do that.
It doesn't do anything to it.
No, but I still hate it when they do that.
But I mean, that's a code to them that's going to be.
Yeah, and I've seen worse. Yeah. I've seen some people that actually write their name right here so that it can't be erased.
Oh, I saw that.
That's what that is.
Mm.
So, anyways, that was my excursion over to Half Price Books. I have other stuff at home from other excursions. If you come back, we'll do it again another time.
Mm.
So, you've been doing some high-plane thrifting yourself.
But I do mine online. I've got some things. We talked about Charles Ives.
Yes, we did.
We did, and I made it up, right?
Yeah, it's up there.
Okay. So I started looking for some things and was very pleased to find that, as one might expect, his stuff doesn't cost a fortune to get, generally. Nobody wants to buy. Most of these things I got for like $3, $4, or $5. This one I was listening to this morning. I actually have at least one album, LP from back when, of Leonard Bernstein, New York Philharmonic. But this I listened to. I didn't listen to the whole symphony because it has the second symphony and it has a few of his shorter pieces on it, including Central Park in the Dark and The Unanswered Question. I just say, if you can find this, this is work that Leonard Bernstein did. Actually, when he was much older, he came back after he left the orchestra. We've done other things. This was done in like 88, 89, 90 or something like that.
Yeah.
CD was released in 90. I didn't listen to the symphony yet because that's a big one. But I listened to all the other works. And it's incredible playing. Because this is New York Philharmonic, but with Bernstein. And the thing I always admired about Bernstein, he could take a Mahler symphony and make it seem like chamber music. Yeah. The clarity that he could get in a huge orchestra from all the different instruments. I mean, there's still the panoply of sounds happening and everything, but you can hear it so cleanly. And of course, one might forget, I mean, and who knows if they're the same orchestra now. A lot of people always think the players get better and better,
Yeah.
It's really, what's really interesting is that the sounds that they're making, I mean, it's incredibly complex stuff. I mean, and massed things all together. But the solo moments in the concertmaster, probably, the oboe at some point, clarinet, masterful playing. And again, you just have to listen to some Ives. It's like his teacher said one time, he said, Mr. Ives, why do you have to put it all together all at once? Can't you just pick a couple themes and use them?
What did he say?
I don't know.
You don't know what he said?
But famously, it was just like, or no, I know the other one. It was, why do you have to use all the keys at the same time?
Oh, gosh.
And yet, the transparency, the depths of things going on and stuff, the clarity is genius. It's absolutely brilliant. This is Bernstein, and the New York Philharmonic in the 1990 release. Before I take wait. Yeah.
Okay.
Then I got 3 more. Yeah. I'm looking forward to this one. I don't know it, but I love the picture, and I've heard of this group. I don't know why, but I think I actually have heard them perform before. The Lydian String Quartet, and I found this. This is the 2 string quartets, and they also do Halloween on here, which is on there.
Wow.
But obviously they're doing a smaller version of it. This is the Lydian String Quartet playing the 2 quartets of eyes, and I love the picture. It looks very, even possibly Ohio, like Yellow Springs, but New England looks like that. And then I got this guy named Ingo Metzmacher, and his modern ensemble. I've seen several recordings by them for doing a whole bunch of lives. And these are a bunch of little different pieces, lots of different things that he wrote. I haven't listened to that yet.
Well, is there a collection of his drawings or paintings that where somebody did for him, or the art's very similar here and here?
I don't know. I mean, he was actually later in life quite famous, quite celebrated. Henry Cowell was his first biographer.
Did not know that. Wow.
And this is, I'm looking forward to listening to it, because this took him 10 years to learn it and be ready to do it, to record it. This is Gilbert Kalish.
Oh, yeah.
The Concord Sonata number 2. And it's really cool. Look at this. This is neat. How they figured out how to solve the fat booklet problem.
Oh. They folded it. Oh, there you go.
Of course, I needed
magnifying glass.
But there's a hell of an essay on here by Gilbert Kalish. Wow. The whole early part of the whole thing is written by him. That one just arrived recently, and if you want to show those to them, then I got a couple other things. But those are some of my Ives acquisitions. Yeah, and I think there's one more coming in a while, but I think it may be coming from Europe. Maybe, I'm not sure which one. It's got the second, third symphonies and some other symphonic stuff on it. Ives is quite an experience. I put it on and Laura came out. Stood in the hallway and just was like smiling, almost laughing.
Oh gosh.
Laura enjoys a capricious sense of humor and chaos sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, she appreciates it. She's part Indian. So anytime you can whap a straight-laced white man with a stick, she's all in for that. But she was really quite taken with it in a way. She was kind of listening to it, like trying to make sense of it. Actually, the one piece, Adagio Cantabile, is that it? Largo. Hymn.
Mm-hmm.
Largo Cantabile. Beautiful. And actually, what's really nice is, and Bernstein maybe brings this out with his musicians and such, but when they're playing little snippets of hymns or famous songs, or things like that, or especially this whole hymn Largo Cantabile for string ensemble, it's a little odd, you know, in some kind of ways in there, but I thought, this is romanticism. This is like super late romanticism. You know, in the moment something like that, it's tonal, maybe. It's this hymn Largo Cantabile is a little bit more accessible than some other things. Central Park in the Dark, though, has beautiful moments. Reminds me of when Schoenberg was writing in the late Romantic style, before he finally, he thinks he came up with atonality, but I think this guy was there 20 years before that,
yeah.
you know. There is something, and as even the most chaotic stuff, and now it might be the way that Bernstein, I mean, his genius truly, brings this stuff across. There's something in it which is quite emotional. It's very emotional music. And therefore, I felt this is romantic music. This is not, let's put it this way. In certain things that Cage wrote, there's quite a bit of chaos. Or it would seem that way.
Yeah.
But of course, I did a lot of work on Cage. He was a beloved friend of my teacher Ellsworth, who was a recipient of 1.5. Cage wrote for him, actually. But Cage, you know, one might stereotype and say this because of his Japanese influence and things like that, brings a certain clean aesthetic something to his compositions. Well, I would definitely say with Cage, probably emotional reticence. Okay? I met him. Personally, he was a very kind and friendly guy, laughed a lot, smiled a lot. Of course, wow.
Oh, yeah.
Some kind of a mind, wow. You could tell. You could see it in his eyes. I mean, really, clearly a brilliant guy. And I guess in his private moments could be quite critical and difficult about things. But I just comes across as a true, passionate, well, let's put it this way, the time that he grew up in, post-Civil War, things were going, well, one might say, reasonably well for America. He lived through the First World War, but, you know, that was a heroic endeavor for us. We went and cleaned up the Europeans' problems in 14 months. Yeah. You know, once America got involved, boom, it was over. In the 20s, with the massive money making and everything that happened. And then coming into the beginning of the 40s, I think he died before we got into the Second World War. Not sure exactly when he died. There's just something unabashedly, and one might say a little naively and proudly American, robustly American. Absolutely. You know, about his music that just argues, I think, from a big R romantic kind of point of view in terms of philosophy and style and all that. So, in listening to some of this, and it's been a while since I listened to him, as we talked about him. Yeah. I was just remembering, and now I think my ears, compared to 40 years ago, 30-some years ago, much more attuned and refined in certain kind of ways to listen and hear things. And I cannot recommend Bernstein's performances of the Ives. I mean, it's loud, chaotic stuff, but the way Bernstein presents it is with huge respect, and the musicians play as if it were Brahms, you know, just with a great, powerful emotion and so forth.
Wow.
Okay, then you really change gears here.
Okay.
And I found Ernst von Dani playing Ernst von Dani.
Oh boy.
It's a 2 CD album, with a great booklet in it. I think I'd known this, but I'd forgotten. At some point later in his career, he was 72 when it happened. He was brought over by a fellow who had been a director of music school somewhere else and had known him previously when he played in America. But at this point, he was down at Florida State University. Yep. and they changed the rules at the university because he's already 2 years older than the state law, which required the people to retire.
Yeah.
You had to quit when you were 70.
Yeah.
They changed the state laws from the beginning.
Wow.
And then they brought him down, and he was there for like at least 8 years or something.
Wow.
And took over the piano department and stuff. And what I didn't know is that he had already done that kind of stuff. He was trained as a young man at it was called the Royal Academy, or earlier on, which has become now the Liszt Academy.
Liszt Academy, yeah.
And after he was like 28, he was invited to join the faculty, which was in the early 20th century, very early years. And then eventually became the director of it.
Oh, yeah, he did.
And he had an incredibly powerful career. I mean, it's amazing. I forget where the first place, I think he went to Warsaw, was it? And did well, I don't know if it was in Warsaw or it was in Hungary. Maybe it was Budapest, probably.
Okay.
But he was from the city of which it was in the old days it was called Pressburg.
Yeah.
Which is a very famous musical center in the 19th, maybe even the 18th century.
Yeah.
It had been Pozsony, I think is the name in Hungarian. It had been the home of the Hungarian kings for a period of time.
Yeah.
So it was a great place to be from and culturally and all that.
Yeah.
And then he went relatively young, maybe was it 18 or something, to Berlin to do his thing. You know, everybody had to cut their teeth in Berlin. And he got rave reviews.
Oh, yeah, of course he did.
Guy was an incredible pianist. Interestingly, I think I told you Miss Fontel, my teacher.
Yeah.
When she went to study the Liszt Academy, she actually studied piano with Bartók, and she studied composition with Dokken.
Yeah.
And what was interesting to me is that in the notes in there, because I made this thing when I said we looked at the music and we brought the ballads and stuff, I said it's weird. It looks very thick and massive like Brahms. But then there's very clearly this kind of Lisztian approach to keep it. Well, his piano teacher was a student of Franz Liszt, and his composition teacher was a friend of Johannes Brahms.
Yeah.
So right there it was.
That's how
and they said the same thing about him. He kind of married the two of them together despite their... Well, Brahms didn't care much for Liszt and Wagner and that crowd. But look, when you brought them together. But I found this. It was just $10.
Beautiful.
But I think I got it from Europe. I think it came from Europe.
That's quite a travel.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was also the first organizer of the very first International Franz Liszt competition.
That's right. Yeah.
You know, he eventually made his way here to Ohio.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was at Oberlin College.
Everybody.
And he was also at the Ohio University for a while.
Wow.
So he was here in Ohio for a bit.
Wow. You want to show us?
Yeah, I want to show you.
Thank you.
This is beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah, his name crops up in our conversations every once in a while.
Quite a good booklet in there with English, French, and German texts.
Yeah.
I'm surprised there was no Hungarian.
Yeah. Yeah, his music is some by, well, how should we say, guilty pleasure.
Yeah. So I was pretty excited about that.
Yeah.
And then I just got in the mail.
You did?
My renewal for another season
of
Digital Concert Hall.
Wow.
From the Berlin Philharmonic. It's I think it's around $16 a month, once a month.
Wow.
But the booklet here has all of their scheduled concerts throughout the season. I mean, this is some serious planning.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
Wow. It's a lovely book. You can flip through some pages for a bit. Starts with the opening concert is Friday, the 23rd of August at 7 o'clock in Berlin with Carol Petrenko and Bruckner's Fifth Symphony. And then what's really cool, they put world time. So in Tokyo, that'll be at 2 o'clock in the morning on Saturday. And in New York, or here in the Eastern time zone in America, it'll be at 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Wow.
So if that's... No. I have
you can't do that.
Have to do shiatsu on it. But no, the cool thing is if you can't watch it live, it immediately gets recorded and you can watch it later. They record it. So it goes into the archives and stuff. But this is the live stream. Imagine all this stuff is live stream concerts through what, June? The end of June next year.
So have you looked through it yet, or the whole thing?
Yeah, somewhat. They've got really.
Is our man Yoon Chan in there somewhere?
I don't know that he's. I haven't seen it yet. I don't think he's been engaged. I didn't see his name, but they've got Augustin Hurdelich.
Hadley.
He's
Okay.
going to be there playing Mendelssohn.
Wow.
Klaus Mekela. He's getting around.
Wow.
Oh, here you go, Daniel Trifonov.
And he is.
Trifonov.
I know. Doing what?
Oh,
Playing.
well, Brahms is second.
Brahms second? Wow.
Alejo Villansness is going to play Mozart.
I'm sorry.
And Elisa Weilerstein, she's a cellist. Her dad was, what's his face, Weilerstein? He was first violinist of the Cleveland String Quartet.
Oh, okay. How do you spell her name?
Weilerstein.
Oh, Weilerstein.
Wilerstein. Stein. And she's his daughter, I believe. I'm sorry, I don't remember his first name, but he was one of the players in this thing.
Wow.
Carlo Muti coming back. Wow. Yeah, I just flipped through a little bit. It's got photographs and things like this. I started doing this in COVID year. You know, it was really cool that Berlin, Vienna, the Opera House, and the Philharmonic, Arte in Germany, they all offered free admission to their programs. You didn't have to pay anything in the COVID year. So there was people could listen to music and experience and stuff. And then, of course, after that, it was all pretty much done over sometime the next year. They said, would you like to continue? And it was a discounted membership to get started. And I think it was $12, $13. And then, you know, just the way things are. Because it's been, what, like 4 years now?
Yeah.
Anyway, it comes in at around $16 a month. It's less if you get it, pay it more lump sum. I think it's, I don't know what it is. But I just get charged $16 a month. And come on, when you think about what you have to pay for a ticket,
Yeah.
especially for a great world orchestra like the Berlin Philharmonic. And for $16 a month for the year, I get access not only to all of that they're doing fresh, but everything that they've done and that's been put in the archives going back to the 1930s.
Hmm.
You know, there's stuff in there with Furtwängler in the archives. There's a couple really cool, great, at least 2 documentary films about him. Oh, there's the whole Nazi period thing. They deal with that and look at things, recordings. You know, it's pretty complete. I think it's like close to like 500
Probably.
options in the archives. And my God, all of the great, just for you and me, some of the really best pianists in the 20th century. And just unbelievable conductors and people. And then you get to see and hear how the orchestra has changed over the decades. I really love their sound, love the way they play, and I think they've got a great love relationship with Petrenko. I gather he's really quite a wonderful person. He's not old school dictatorial, you know, shout and scream, stomp his feet at him. He's kind of a little guy. And I believe his background actually is from a little farther back in Russia somewhere. And I believe his great love was composition. But I really love his work with the orchestra. He brings great passion out of them. And yet, I suppose one of the things that I think I get from him as well, and maybe I'm attracted to this for some reason, like with Bernstein's conducting, what I like about it so much is the transparency and a very fluid but very clear sense of structure and form in the music making. I mean, you can feel it, laid out in a way. And it's almost, if you know music, you can almost begin to, when you don't know, you see the score in your head as it's kind of evolving. I get this feeling kind of when I listen to a Trinko record. They have other people. What's his name? I can't think of his name now. Andrews Nelson's from the Boston Symphony.
Yeah.
He was a guest conductor. Did an amazing performance of the Berlioz Symphony Fantastique. Wow. Incredible. So, I mean, definitely if you're in parts of the world where, for whatever reason, you can't get access to things, you can't get out, live somewhere in the middle of Kansas, you got good internet connection, all that, I'd seriously recommend this because it's a heck of a resource to have. And it's very friendly. It's very easy to do online and stuff. And plus, they've got the app, the Digital Concert Hall. I can watch it on my phone. Not that I would, but
you want surround sound?
Yeah. Well, I play it through there. It's pretty good.
So this thing caught me on page 1.
Yeah.
Caught me on page 1 in September, Saturday 7th. They have a work here by one Peter Eötvös, and the work is the Chief Rhapsodia for piano and orchestra. So it's a play. I'm sorry?
Who's playing?
The pianist is Pierre-Laurent Aymar.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
Who's the conductor?
The conductor is Jonathan Nott, N-O-T-T.
Yes, it's
the work. The title of the work, though, it's a play on words. It's Chifra Psaldia. So they put the words together, Chifra Psaldia, for piano and orchestra. So maybe it's,
has something to do with him. It's an honor of him.
Yeah.
The Trinko is quite the programmer. They do a considerable amount of contemporary music, and they do it well. He has a great passion for it because he himself is a composer. Yeah. And then he actually, you guys have known from past shows, if there were any ones that ever made it out.
Yeah.
General, I don't spend a lot of time listening to Tchaikovsky.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know, especially the Fifth and Sixth Symphonies, one might even say 3 and 4, and of course the Concerto, B flat minor. But I've heard him conducting, like the Fifth Symphony.
Yeah.
I couldn't turn away, couldn't turn it off. It just came out, they're doing Tchaikovsky's Fifth. The moment it started all the way through, gripping performance, really amazing. So he does great, but then they have all these wonderful guest artists. Some of them are like the real, top drawer people, including conductors. In another case, I don't know who they are, but what I love too is the ensemble is very fluid and very flexible. They have chamber music series, and they do various kinds of things, and that's available as well. They have things scheduled with musicians from the group. And the Berlin Philharmonic has always been rather famous because, like some of the earlier 19th century orchestras, and I imagine this came out of, finally, with Haydn and people having to be employed by the great leaders, Nail, the orchestra and everything. With the original New York, I don't know if they called themselves a Philharmonic at the very beginning, but New York Symphony or whatever they were a free-banded group of musicians, and they chose their conductors. There's no board or anything like that. They chose. Vienna Philharmonic has always been like that and remains so. They actually don't usually, I don't think they have ever had an appointed conductor. They invite people to come and work with them. Sometimes longer periods, but, like a guest conductor for a period of time. But Berlin is still an independent orchestra where the musicians make the big decisions about who's going to lead them.
Yeah.
And there's been some historical moments where maybe that, well, let's put it this way, either they were satisfied with who they had, for a long time, like Funkaria. But when Furtwängler was directing, they loved Furtwängler. But he had to step aside for a period of time after the war was over.
Right.
And they put in Celibidache, who was trained in Germany and so forth. And he led them, I think, for 4 years or something like that, at least. Maybe longer, maybe it was 6, immediately after the war. I don't know if they chose him or if he was appointed or what, but what I like about Berlin is it's younger and it's really mixed group. I mean, there's Asian people, there's at least, I think it's possible that half the orchestra is female now.
Wow.
Or it's getting there. A lot of women.
Wow.
A lot of women players. And some of the performances I've heard, they talk about some of the instrumental. I have a friend here, Karen. She's a very fine oboist, and she talks about international styles of playing.
Uh-huh.
And she knows a lady who she enjoys working with, but she said with certain repertoire, the music doesn't always mix together because she has a very Germanic way of playing the instrument.
Yeah.
There are different schools of playing. French is very popular with woodwinds, and then there's also German school, and that also goes to the choice of instruments they use. So French horn players, for example, in German orchestras have a rather different sound. You really hear it like in the Munich Philharmonic, but I thought one could hear it in the Berlin as well. They have some amazing woodwind players. Oh my God. You hear them play and the things that they do. Never thought about this before, but I remember these things when Niles and Frazier would get into conversations or arguments about the best players.
Yeah.
In different orchestras, like they would, like guys, talking about baseball players, they were talking about string players and wind players in different international orchestras, the best ones in different places. And, I've learned to appreciate that, really. I mean, especially when it comes to, like, the woodwinds. And maybe the brass players, but I think really the woodwinds, because they get a lot of melodic stuff. They're going to create a personality for that instrument, the way we pianists, gravitate. If we get a choice, gravitate towards some reason. He'll go for one piano, I'll go for another, because we like the way it works for us, it sings for us. And of course, when new important conductors come in, sometimes, depending on the way that the orchestra is governed, I don't know how much they do it nowadays, but in some cases, when a big conductor comes in to start his period, there'll be some shuffling going on in the orchestra. And sometimes people leave, and they bring in some new people, this and that, because he or she is looking for the color that they want in their instrument and how they want to do it. When you think about certain composers, Chicago Symphony is famous for its brass. Long has been. And I've got a Fourth Symphony of Bruckner, Barenboim directing it. It's a LP. And I think I probably got it on CD too. It's one of my favorite performances of anything by Bruckner. But part of it is the brass in that bum, 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 bum. There's something the way it plays, and it's a little blasty a little bit, but clear as a bell, and there's like real, male accoutrements hanging to the floor.
Oh, God.
With the playing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Wow. And I've got a magnificent performance of the Ninth Symphony, which is a whole different ballgame. But dreamy and beautiful. It's directed by Carlo Maria Giulini as guest director.
Wow, I didn't know he did that.
And that's also an LP, and I think I probably bought the CD version originally. Wow. A wonderful orchestra. And then more recently, I've been listening to Cleveland. You know, Cleveland is ranked as one of the 5th or 6th greatest orchestras in the world.
Yeah.
And Europeans actually rate it higher. Actually, in some European polls, their favorite American orchestra is Cleveland.
Cleveland. See, that doesn't surprise me.
New York falls seriously down
I
on
know.
the list.
Yeah.
Chicago's up there.
Yeah.
And Boston, too.
Cleveland is a completely different class.
You know, I want to go up there and experience it. Because I understand Severance Hall is really quite a beautiful space.
Yeah.
And I looked it up. I told you, I don't know if we could ever go up together, but you know, you can find some,
Decent
seats up there for $35 or something. They've got great artists.
Yeah, I'm sure they do. Well, we'll look at our schedule and look at the roster.
Show them just a little bit.
We'll look at the roster.
Just flip through it a little. So $16 a month.
You get this.
And you got
and you get all of
total
this.
access to the Berlin Philharmonic and their entire digital archive. And it's not just symphony concerts, there's chamber music, there's documentary videos, all kinds of informative things. My God, it is a 21st century organization that's really taking music and education and information and everything way into the digital age. Amazing stuff.
And they're doing Daphnis and Chloe at the end of September.
Oh, wow. So, and the other thing they do, which is pretty cool, they give me, I can give this to you,
And it is
a 7-day ticket for free to access it. You just go on your computer and put that information in there, and it gives you 7 days to have your way.
Wow.
Complete total access to everything, including any of the live stream concerts during the period. And I forget what the deadline is on Activate, but it's at least the end of the year. So what I would do is, for that 7 days, look online at their concert guide, and see what you might most likely want to watch.
Okay.
And then just plug in the information and you can watch it for free for 7 days.
Put that over here.
And you'd enjoy a lot of the archive stuff.
Oh, I'm sure I will.
Holy smokes. So maybe we talked about that too much, but
yeah, that's okay.
I've really been excited about this ever since COVID year, actually, because I never got to go. I was in Berlin a few times, but for whatever reason, I mean, sometimes I was there doing music, sometimes I was there visiting, but for other reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And I never got to go see the Berlin Philharmonic in its hall.
Wow.
I never went. Now, I've been to the Vienna Philharmonic and the opera in Vienna. I went to both.
Wow.
I heard the Vienna Philharmonic live in that famous space.
Wow.
And was in the opera house too.
Congrats.
And other things, but never made it to Berlin. I mean, to the orchestra.
Sure.
I've been in the city. But
Okay. Was that?
that's it for my.
Okay. Well, thus concludes
That's the
PSI
Thrifter?
High Plains Thrifter.
Okay.
And
That's the first time I contributed.
yeah, no kidding. But it was very good. It was very enlightening. And I'm sure our viewers were enchanted. Okay, so I've been teaching now. Boy, I haven't done the math, but I've been teaching. I've given piano lessons since I was like 16.
I think I was 14.
Yeah. It was just one day.
And I wasn't a good teacher back then.
I know, either was I. I had no clue what
I was a
doing.
Toscanini teacher.
Oh,
I just screamed and shouted at them.
well.
One of them even peed all over the piano bench.
No.
I scared the piss out of a little girl.
Oh gosh. No, my mom got.
I got better.
And she just said, she says, Elmer! He says, yeah? He says, oh, you teach this one. I want to go. And she just left the room.
Wow.
She just couldn't handle it anymore.
Good for you.
So,
That's how you got started.
That's how I got started. She just told me.
Wow.
He said, "Here, you take the reins on this one." He said, "You know these pieces."
She handed you a rifle and threw you in the trench.
Yeah. Well, it's like that John Wayne movie. You ever seen, what was it, Rio Grande?
Yeah.
Is that little boy that didn't know how to swim, and what does he do at the end?
Tosses him
He
in.
just picks him up and tosses him in, which is basically what my mom did, okay, as far as teaching piano lessons. He says, "Don't know how to teach?" He says, "Oh, you sit here, you do this one." So, but as far as piano teaching goes, lots of things happen when you, I mean, there's so many possibilities and happenings that go on in the piano teaching world. You have students, young, old, and even, even at my age, I went calling him up during the COVID shutdown for piano lessons. And by that time I was, mid-50? I think I was about mid-50. So even an old dog like myself will seek help. So, which I think this would be a good prelude to our next segment, PSI at the Movies.
Oh, movie.
This will be an interesting one. I can't say that personally. Maybe you will know about it. This will be good.
Okie
Okay, so welcome to PSI at the Movie. Oh, there's that smell again.
No. She served chili last night. I'm sorry about that.
No. No, this is popcorn. It's there again.
Same idea.
Oh, God. No, it's definitely popcorn.
It's always Mr. Wagner.
Yeah, I'm sure. Thanks a lot. So, anyways, what served as a sort of a prelude to this segment about teaching piano lessons. Even as the piano teacher, almost anything could possibly happen, and sometimes you are prepared, and sometimes you're not prepared. And in this case, which brings us to our movie this week. It's an old movie. It dates back to the 1936.
Wow.
1936.
That's old.
This is really old. And this is a Swedish film. A Swedish film. An old black and white Swedish film. And it has been redone, well, as far as I've been able to research, twice more after that. So, okay. I bring to you on VHS Intermezzo. Intermezzo.
What's Leslie? What's his name?
No, this is not.
Oh, it's not.
This is not. This one actually came before that.
But Ingrid Bergman is in this one.
Ingrid Bergman.
Because I was going to say, because they speak English.
Yes. This one they do not. They speak Swedish in this one. This is actually came out first. So I went to the beginning. This is 1936.
I didn't know that.
This was 1939. Okay, it was 3 years. Yeah, 39. This was in 1936. We have two co-writers of this movie. One, Gustav Molander, who also directs this movie, and one, Gersta Ekman, who also not only co-wrote this movie, but also is the main character in this movie.
Violinist.
He is the violinist, the famous violinist. Basically, in a nutshell, concert violinist falls in love with daughter's piano teacher.
Yeah.
And all sorts of things happen.
And she becomes his accompanist.
Yes, absolutely.
Or collaborator.
Yeah. But like I said, this movie was done not after 1936. It was remade 2 more times.
Yeah.
Okay. One in 1939 after, well, this movie actually came to the attention of one David Selznick, famous Hollywood producer.
Big time.
Saw her in the movie and said, "We must have her."
Yeah.
And so he invited her to America, which she accepted. And she would reprise the role of one, what is her name? Anita Hoffman. Okay, Anita Hoffman. And so, anyways, where do we go from here? 1939 was the release of the U.S. Version of this, Hollywood version, and the title was actually Intermezzo, a love story.
Yeah.
Okay, but I've seen the boxes and the title covers, and it often doesn't have a love story next to it. It's just Intermezzo.
I'm going to go
So
find
you might
something.
you might want to look both those titles up if you want to look for the English-speaking Hollywood America version.
The American one's got Leslie
Howard.
Howard, who's
Yeah.
from
England.
Gone with the Wind fame.
Yes, he was the Scarlett O'Hara's love interest.
Well, fiance, I think.
Well, she
to
was
start with.
Yeah, sort of. It was sort of like you said.
It turns out to be a bit of a pansy boy for her.
Yeah.
She's too tough.
Yes.
We're going to find something very apropos. Keep talking.
So, anyways, that was one remake in 1939, but it is remade again in 1980. 1980, also in the U.S., Hollywood. But it goes under a different name, new title. That title was Honeysuckle Rose. Maybe some of you are familiar with that movie. I was around in the 1980s, and I was part of the pop culture. Yay, but I've heard of the movie, but I never sought it out during the 80s. I don't know. Have you heard of this 1980 movie, Honeysuckle Rose?
No.
You haven't heard of it either?
No.
Okay. So, but I'm not sure, okay? I think this is the one with Willie Nelson.
Oh.
I think it is the one with Willie Nelson. I'm not sure.
Oh.
And there's another, he plays opposite this other lady who's also well known, but the name escapes me right now. So, but anyways, that came out in 1980. So, the roster here is a 1936 version of Intermezzo. Once again, Ingrid Bergman plays the young piano teacher, Anita Hoffman. The concert violinist is played by the co-writer, Gösta Ekman. His character is named Holger Brandt. Let's see. Hasse Ekman. Well, I think Hasse Ekman, on the actual opening credits or closing credits of the movie, he actually goes by Hans, from what I'm told. Hans Ekman. And he plays the son of Holger Brandt, Ake Brandt. In the U.S. version, he goes by Eric Brandt. The sister is played by Britt Hagman. The daughter sister, Anne Marie Brandt. Now, the wife of the famous violinist is played by Inga Tidblad. Tidblad? Something like that. The wife's name is Margit. Margit Brandt. The cast the rest of the next part of the cast is Eric Berglund, who plays Charles. Don't know the last name. He's the impresario. Then we have last Hugo Byrne, and he plays Thomas Stenborg, and he was the retired accompanist of Holger Brandt, the concert violinist. So, the director of this wonderful 1936 film is Gustav Molander, who's also the director. His full name is Gustav Harold August Molander. Born 1918, 1888. Died June 19th, 1973. He was born in Helsinki, Finland, but he passed away in Stockholm. His father, Harold Sr., was a theater director. Mother is Lydia Molander, was a singer-actress. So the arts go quite a bit into this family. But he also had an uncle that was as a director as well. Now, 1907 to 1909, he enters the Royal Dramatic Theatre in Stockholm, studies there. 1909 to 1913, he is at the Swedish Theatre in Helsinki. 1913 to 1926, still a fairly young man, he returns to the Royal Dramatic Theatre in Stockholm, and he goes back there as a teacher. And one of his students is the famous, now legendary, actress Greta Garbo. Amazing, isn't it? Greta Garbo. So, anyways, I pretty much gave you the roster and the background of the director here. Now we get to the nitty gritty. Intermezzo, 1936. Who is in the music department, the music roster? Get this. I don't know any of these people. I don't know if Mark has heard of any of these people. The violinist for the movie, the violinist, who's the character, Holger Brandt, the character. The actual violinist who's on the soundtrack is one Charles Darkel, Darkel. Never heard of him. Let's see. The pianist is Stina Sundell, Sundell. Wow. Now, the composer of the movie score here is one Heinz Provost. Have you heard of him?
I don't know.
Heinz Provost was the who wrote the score to this movie. Now, I tried to look up information on this guy, and he's virtually a phantom. Don't know where he is. There's no information on him. You got what?
I got it.
You got what?
Happy Marky! Happy Marky doing a happy dance.
Oh, it's him. Oh, whoa. Oh, no. You have it.
I have it.
Oh, my gosh.
You can see a picture and the guy's name. The whole
Oh,
bit.
my gosh.
I love the music from this. This is my father's.
Oh,
This belonged to my dad.
folks, what he has given me here is quite a souvenir from this movie. This movie.
Well, the American one.
The American movie, at least. But here it is. See, that's Leslie Howard himself in the front. Leslie Howard holding the violin. But is the, I guess it's the love theme song
Open it
from
up
the
and
movie
show 'em the beginning of the
Intermezzo.
music. Yum, papa.
Take a look at that.
Beautiful melody. Yum, da 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 dee, yum, da 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 dee, yum.
Wow.
It's really nice music.
I didn't even know it had words to it.
That belonged to my daddy.
There it is. Heinz Provost. Now, nothing much else is heard about Heinz Provost, the composer. Like I said, there's nothing in Wikipedia, nothing. Zilch, nada. So, anyways, so in this 1936 movie, you hear excerpts of, let's see, Rustle of Spring and None But the Lonely Heart by Tchaikovsky.
Yeah.
So that's Christian Sinding,
Yeah.
Tchaikovsky. So it's played throughout the movie. Let's see, I'm trying to recall. Let's see, the Holger Brandt's daughter is played by Britt Hagman. Britt Hagman, she's just a little girl. And she's taking piano lessons with the Ingrid Bergman. And I'm trying to remember, I think this is the one where she's playing excerpts from the G Major Sonata by Beethoven.
Opus 49.
Opus 49, yeah, that's the one. She's somewhere in the, I think she's introducing the secondary theme in the first movement. So that's basically what it just plays a small excerpt. But anyways, that is the roster. I just told our viewers about Charles Darkel, the violinist, who plays on the soundtrack, and Stina Sundell is the pianist on the soundtrack. Now, interesting to note, in the 1908 or 39 version, okay, we have a different roster here. Let's see, it's Intermezzo, A Love Story. This is the Hollywood movie. It is directed by one Gregory Ratoff, Ratoff. It is produced by David Selznick, who brought Ingrid Bergman over. The screenplay is written by one George O'Neill. Different movie score here. This one says score by Lou Forbes, who was nominated for an Academy Award for this movie. But they still use this music in the movie, so for the violin. Music credits for this 1939 version of the movie goes to Robert Russell Bennett. Get a load of this roster. Robert Russell Bennett, Max Steiner. Could you believe it? And Heinz Provost, once again. Heinz Provost. But they also give credit to Christian Sending and Peter Tchaikovsky. Wonderful. But they had some muscle in there. Max Steiner. He was very, very well known in the Hollywood movie industry for his music. Yeah. But anyways, let me see. The violinist for the 1939 Hollywood film was Tosha Seidel, C-I-E-D or S-E-I-D-E-L. Okay, and he plays the violinist for Leslie Howard in the movie. Now, mind you, it's interesting. Reading from some of the technical notes from the movie, Leslie Howard didn't take violin, but he was given the rudiments of how to hold the violin and how to stand.
Yeah, that's believable.
Yeah, he was very credible. The rubato looked a little bit awkward from the way he was doing it, but nevertheless, it was quite credible. Now, the pianist for Ingrid Bergman was actually Norma Drury, D-R-U-R-Y. And interestingly, in the notes, the film notes, Ingrid Bergman actually does play the piano. And so basically what she did, they had her on a dumb piano, which doesn't play actually, but keys sort of work. But she actually knew where to put her hands and where her fingers went. So her playing the piano actually was quite believable. You know, it was credible because she had her hands in the right place. In the movie, she plays the cadenza to the Grieg concerto. And so, Leslie Howard is taking to her, and it's like, he says, "Keep playing," so he plays. But now, the difference between the 1936 Swedish film and the 1939 Hollywood film.
You can understand when they're talking.
Well, yeah, why would you can understand the English? They're two very different films, okay? And judging from the time these movies came out, so you're talking the mid-30s here. Okay, and they do get to be a little bit melodramatic, particularly on the 1939 Leslie Howard and Ingrid Bergman film. I like the way the issues and everything resolved. Now, understand, back then, having an affair while you're married and got two kids, and they took back then morals were taken very seriously as far as your marriage vows and being a responsible father. So, which explains the mood of how these movies were made. There's one particular scene I was very taken with, and I've watched them both. And believe it or not, I watched them one after the other, and the differences couldn't be more marked night and day. Leslie Howard, they're sitting in the cafe and they're sort of being, very discreet. They're in the corner. And they're not happy, And Ingrid Bergman says, "Look at those two people in the mirror.
Mm-hmm.
They don't look happy." And she says about how, he says, and already you could tell, just from looking at that mirror, that they're hiding a secret.
Mm-hmm.
And of course Leslie Howard, as an actor, consummate actor that he is taken, responds to it, reacts to it, and he says, "Come, let's go. Let's go take a walk." And so they leave. Mm-hmm. They leave the cafe. And of course, it's dark, and that's where the film cuts. Now, basically, I'm not going to give away too much. All right. The 1936 version of the movie, which stars, I keep forgetting his name. Goodness gracious. Gösta Ekman, okay, who plays Holger Brandt. He's a bit, I don't know. Unlike Leslie Howard, he didn't strike me as a temperamental musician. Leslie Howard, he's an actor. He's had a lot of heavy training. Every inch of him looks like an artist when he's up there on screen, even holding the violin. Now, I noticed when I was watching the film, the 1936, I watched it on both here and on YouTube. They actually have it on YouTube. And some of the comments on it were quite, was enlightening. Okay, for one thing, I remember one of the commenters in the movie noticed how Gösta had these dark circles under his eyes, and he says he knows him from his older films, and he says his face was puffy, and he says those are definitely marks of somebody who's been abusing substances. And so, I mean, he says he looks tired, he looks, he just looks fatigued, and he looks much older in years.
Back in that day, cocaine was pretty common.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
but the results of his, actions in the movie, the character, Holger Brandt, eventually comes to his senses, and realizes his responsibilities as a husband and father. But therein lies the differences between the two movies. When he comes home, okay, the wife's response, she's as some of the commenters say, she's really addicted to the marriage. So, and she takes him back, but in a lot of ways, she doesn't know how to respond to him anymore, because she already knows he has had an affair with the piano teacher. Okay, the wife who plays the lady who plays the wife for Leslie Howard in the other movie, she's much more. Well, how would you say? She feels she hasn't been able to get over her trauma from her husband leaving, and she basically she looks very sad, and eventually somewhere along the way she had to organize all the divorce papers for him to sign, because that's what he wanted. It's like she had just given up, but. Now the sons from the two movies, okay, the two new movies, makes the biggest difference between these two movies. The resolution in the 1939 version with Leslie Howard focused more on reconciliation and forgiveness, and the way they did it was actually quite touching. There's tears at the end, and the the son is forgiving, because of the father. He's, the way he was able to explain how they need each other. Okay, it was quite touching. Now, the 1936 version, it's not the same. It's definitely not the same. The son, who knows, since his father is a famous concert touring violinist, is bitter, and he's hung on to that bitterness because he says that he's had to raise himself by himself without a father. He says, and basically he's like, why have you come back? We were getting along just fine. We were fine. He says, you didn't have to come back. And of course there's some tears right there. And due to a friend of the family, the friend of the family comes over to help placate, console the 16-year-old son. And they have a moment together in the film that's actually quite touching. And he's being explained. The friend of the family explains to him the virtue of forgiveness. More of the reconciliation actually comes from the wife at the end. In this 1936 version, what happens is they talk to each other, and they're out in the front of the house, and they walk in the house, and you see the front door close, and that's how it ends. But if you're looking for more of a realism, I'd have to go with this one. There's no holds barred. There's something about it. I don't know. Even if the main actor who plays the main character, Holger Brand, he looks like a man that's been, through the ringer and back, basically. I mean, even though he has been, if he was abusing substances and drinking or was an alcoholic, I couldn't help but think that it sort of helped his character. Whereas Leslie Howard was more of the was a little bit more youthful. He wanted to. He was every inch an artist, and for that reason, at the end, it sort of didn't surprise me that he had that confrontation with his son and was able to talk to him in a adult manner.
Where I think with Leslie Howard, what struck me about their performances together is when he's with the women, especially with Ingrid Bergman, she's quite a bit younger than him.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he's supposed to be a married guy with a long-established career and a couple kids, and she's a young piano teacher.
Yep.
He comes across as kind of immature, youthful, and a little bit kind of caught up. I think she even says it to him when they're like in, I think France or something, when they're on the ocean or the Mediterranean.
Yeah.
Is that the movie I think where she even says that he's a little naive or something about that?
Yeah, something about that. Yeah.
But then, of course, in the moments when he's dealing with the kids stuff, he comes across as mature and so forth. But I also think it's a cultural thing. He's British. Swedish films are famous for being heavy and bit on the dark side. I was in Scandinavia. And, one might say that the weather and things lends itself to that kind of frame of mind. But I have to say, Ingrid Bergman, that's her breakout role.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Introducing it, and see, Leslie Howard is the big star.
Oh yeah.
Introducing Ingrid Bergman. Leslie Howard, I know him. We know him very well from the what's it called, the South Civil War film.
Oh, Gone with the Wind.
Gone with the Wind.
Yeah, Gone with the Wind.
I think he probably comes from a theatrical stage tradition in England.
Yeah.
And he presents very well as an upper class.
Oh, yeah.
Guy. I don't know what his history is like, but it just made sense he would play roles like that. He's got seems very tall.
Yeah.
Excellent posture. He comes across as an aristocratic Englishman. And of course, people back in those days would have expected, well, he would have expected of himself, and then people even in America at that time would have expected him to play that kind of character in a way. And to be frank, I mean, Ingrid is gorgeous.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
She's so beautiful. Her skin is so beautiful. It's a beautiful face, cheekbones. She's not as womanly yet. She still has youthful roundness about her.
Yeah.
You know? But
well,
when it comes to the two of them, now perhaps it's done well because he's older. He's, I don't know, violinist. They're probably a different breed of creature anyway. Emotionally speaking, it's wrenching.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She just, I think she steals the movie. Not intentionally.
Yeah.
But just because you suddenly see as young as she was.
Yeah.
Holy shit, this one's going to be a big
star. Yeah.
She just has this believability and, oh, she knows he has to go back to his family.
Mm-hmm. Yes, she does.
And yet, she's the big one who suffers because she really, really, really fell in love with him.
Yeah.
She loves him.
Yeah.
And yet she knows that it's more important to those kids that he goes back to his family.
Yeah.
And the sadness at the end, my God.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's devastating.
Yeah.
But come on, people.
Yes.
It's just one of those movies, either one or both.
Yeah.
I've not seen this. I'll look it up on YouTube.
Yeah.
Take a look at it. Because I did find the Song of Norway.
Song of Norway?
But I haven't had time to watch it yet.
Okay.
It's a wonderful. It's by a Romanian guy who put it up with Romanian subtitles.
Yeah.
But it's a super clear, wonderful picture. I watched a little bit of it. But I'll watch the whole thing.
Okay.
But, this should be one of your bucket lists.
Yes. And it's not a long movie.
No.
It's on. This one is 90 minutes long.
Yeah.
But the U.S. version actually is shorter. It's an hour and 10 minutes.
It's amazing.
An hour and 10 minutes.
And it's a heck of a story in an hour and 10 minutes.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's actually a very, it's well done.
I was thinking about when you're talking about back in the day when this was made.
Yeah.
Now, of course, in America, the way that it becomes, those Europeans.
Yeah.
Because it's all set in Europe.
Yeah.
I
have to tell
you. We Americans, we don't do stuff like that.
I have to tell you, in the times that we live today, one commenter who compared it to the movie Only You, starring Marisa Tomei and Robert Downey Jr. Mm-hmm. He says there's a comment in there that would be fitting in the way the interaction and the reason why they, hooked up together, so to speak. He says the line here from Only You was, nothing gets stolen that doesn't want to be stolen. Yeah. So basically, it's somebody's heart was stolen, basically. But it wasn't want to be stolen.
We've looked at historical origins of things, but all this storytelling.
Yeah.
Around the fire, going back to Beowulf and stuff. I mean, or the Bullfinch's mythology, all the stories about the Greek gods have different purposes. One is, the most important one are metaphorical stories. And this, or like some of the stories about the gods, like Zeus, he's king of the gods, so he can do whatever the hell he wants, plays with whoever he wants, no matter how much Juno gets pissed off about it, or Hera in Greek. And then she punishes the women that he gets around with pretty bad. That was one up there. Yeah. Turner into a spider, right? Back in those days, it's like with opera too. Yeah. To a certain extent, especially more of a Riesman type opera. Yeah. you go to see those things because they're supposed to be really lessons. Don't let this be you. Like Jack Webber Dragnet, just. But you get to live it vicariously. You know, I mean, like you think about. Because I have to say, what I love about Intermezzo, it took me a while. I was married to a wonderful woman for many years, and we kind of moved apart, and I was on my own. Then I had my affairs with several different ladies.
Okay.
Every single one of them was wonderful. Lots of good memories, especially when I was younger, some romantic places where we met up and did things. This is so romantic. I'm thinking of the second one.
Yeah.
The scenery where they film it and everything is really lovely. I mean, it's just what a lot of people probably imagine, kind of dream about, but I really never do that. But certainly imagine it. Well, they make movies about that stuff, so you can have the vicarious experience, and then you go home to your kids and your family and tuck them in bed and everything.
Yeah.
And the world's all right again. You know? That's called suppression of your emotional state. Things like that. What a very good movie.
Yeah,
I thought, when you said 36, I thought, is he going to talk about Intermezzo? But that's too early for Intermezzo. But I didn't know that there was a previous one.
Yeah,
and that was the vehicle for which Ingrid Bergman was discovered and brought to the United States.
Yes. Oh, by the way, as a word of warning, there is another movie called Intermezzo that was made in 2019. Not related to this one.
At all.
Oh, no. No, nothing related to this one. That one actually was panned at the Cannes Film Festival.
Is it a similar story?
It is not even a close similar story.
Okay.
It's just... Yeah, stay away from the 2019 version one.
If you're looking for that story.
Yeah, unless you are looking for that kind of stuff, but that's not what we are here for.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, we're looking
whatever it is, I just go with that one.
1936, this guy, or 1939 with Leslie Howard.
Yeah.
I'm still that name still. It's really hard to say. Gersta Ekman. Okay. Yeah. Anyways, by the way, interestingly enough, Intermezzo was not this is not her first film with Molander. Her other film, which came in 2 years later, A Woman's Face, I read the storyline behind the movie A Woman's Face. It's about a woman who's disfigured, and a doctor, a surgeon, comes back and fixes her up. And that's where they don't fall in love, but her past somehow catches up with her when people start wondering who she is. Okay, it's actually a very interesting movie.
What's it called?
It's called A Woman's Face. It came out in 1938.
It reminds me of a German film that was made post-World War II. Well, the story is based in post-World War II. And this woman's face is damaged by fire or something. Mm-hmm. And she ends up going back around these people who she knew. Yeah. Some were friends. One was her former husband. Yeah. I know what it is. She has plastic surgery done, and then she doesn't look like she did. No. Looks like a different person. Is it Phoenix? Is that what it's called? It's a German movie. It's a German film. Yeah, it's Phoenix. I think. Yeah, I know. She sings "Speak Low" at the end. Yes, yeah. That's the movie. And that's how they know that it's her. Yeah, and they're like all shocked. That's a wild movie. That's it is really weird, but it's beautifully done. Lovely done. Beautifully done. It was a modern-made film, right? Yes, it is. It was just made but it's based decades ago. Oh yeah, decades. That was cool. Beautiful film. And the intense moment. What's the movie where she's a little bit older? And there's this wonderful scene where she's playing is it from the Third Symphony, the horn solo, the slow moment? She plays a French horn player? No. It's a recording she's playing in her bedroom. And she's with her hotel room, whatever it is. Okay. She's with her lady friend or her maid or something like that.
Okay.
But I just remember sometimes.
What character does she play?
A woman who's very sad about something.
Okay, the only movie I could think of that has music like that could be Autumn Sonata. She actually, Ingrid Bergman actually plays in that movie.
No, she's not a musician, but I just remember, I associate, well, tragedy and beautiful music with Ingrid Bergman. A number of films. Because I mean, the music that they play in Intermezzo is, I love that theme. Yum, something like that. But, wow. It makes me want to go back and see some things of hers again because there's something about her, like, she's one of the great classic women that I could have definitely fallen for.
Oh, gosh,
big time.
It's interesting, but believe it or not, David Selznick, when he first brought her to this country, some of the producers were highly doubtful about her. They said she's too tall.
Yeah, she's very tall.
They said she was too tall. Her name sounds too German. And her eyebrows were too bushy.
Bushy, yeah.
Is what they said.
Yeah.
But look how she turned
God
out.
love her.
Yeah.
She didn't change anything.
No, she did. That scene in Casablanca, she plays opposite of Humphrey Bogart.
And he's got to be walking on platform shoes or raised.
Yeah.
Because Humphrey was not a tall man.
No, he's not.
Because even Lauren Bacall was a bit taller.
Yeah.
But he makes up for it by having a pair of tennis balls, right?
He's one tough dude. I've only seen Humphrey Bogart lose a fight once. Yeah. It was with Edward G. Robinson.
Yes,
movie
I was thinking about
Brother Orchid.
Yeah.
Where he beats the crap out of him at the end of the movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
The only other movie I've seen her in was Hitchcock's Spellbound.
Yeah. That's a wonderful movie too.
Yeah.
Every time she just always played the woman in distress who is often misunderstood. And she's actually more vulnerable than the people would give her credit for.
Yeah.
Not that she's stereotypical, but maybe that's kind of the roles they put her in. But every time, everything I watch her in, my heart just leaps out of my chest.
Oh gosh, yeah.
And of course, I learned as I grew from childhood, where I was mostly exposed to living along with my grandparents and knowing a lot about life from old movies and old TV shows and old ways of behaving. How utterly out of touch I was. My time. By the time I became an adult, I was such a chivalrous, polite guy to a great extent, and it took me a while to figure that stuff out.
Yeah.
You know, I caught on eventually, especially when I lived in Europe and Middle East and places. I had a good time. Finally, I kind of worked it out. Got more.
Well, let me show this movie one more time.
Oh, yeah.
Here it is, folks. 1936.
Show the back picture.
Gösta Ekman and Ingrid Bergman. This is the back of it. Mind you, this is VHS. I believe it's on DVD as well. I think they actually released this on the Criterion label.
Oh.
So I think you can get it there.
Or you can watch it on YouTube.
Or you can watch it on YouTube. But here it is.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's definitely one of my favorite movies.
Oh, yeah. So, anyways, this ends. This concludes PSI at the movies. So,
so you got a dependable VHS player. It works. It's safe.
It works pretty well.
I looked at buying a new one recently because I would never buy an old one from one of the stores. Even in those days, you had to be careful with the brand and the quality because the problem with tape, all right, cassette tape and videotape is if the heads start to get worn or dirty, they'd start to eat the tapes.
Yeah.
And you'd lose stuff. You know, it's
Yeah.
awful. I actually had, the last thing I had in the States before I moved to Cyprus was a Go video, Korean. One side is tape and one side was
DVD.
And I started to make copies of my
VHS.
tapes in my library. Just started making them.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't play them out. And I still have my VHS library. But it's either, most of it's out in the storage. Yeah. But I looked at finding a player, and there's a company, especially starts with an F. I think they're Japanese or Chinese. But holy smokes, they're like $500, $600, $700.
Wow.
Because, you know, it's interesting how people are being drawn to the old formats.
Yeah.
LPs and record players. A lot of people make a huge deal about it. They get a gorgeous record player kind of thing and hook it up to some interesting speakers. But the sound that you get on LP pressings can't nearly be as clean as on a CD, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it can't really be. CDs early on, we kind of went through some moments. Sometimes they compress the material too much, and kind of. But no, eventually, I mean, like I said, that Lotus, the Carnegie Hall concert.
Yeah.
That I got. It's like sitting right next to the boy.
Yeah, I know.
Everything is so vibrant.
It's so clear.
Beautiful. Done so well. The piano itself is gorgeous. The way it's prepared and everything. We live in a remarkable time.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and in addition to that, where thanks to guys like Marston Fellow or other people, they're also digging out ancient treasures.
Exactly.
Going back to when you could hear Grieg play the piano.
Play the piano.
Mahler play the piano. You know.
And don't forget they have a YouTube channel now, Marston Records. Yeah.
They have a YouTube channel?
They do have a YouTube channel.
Wow.
There's even some videos where the actual Marston fella talks.
Ward Marston is.
Yeah. And he
How
talks.
old is he, by the way?
I think he's about mid-50s, almost near our age.
Oh, that's good to know, because I was afraid he might be like an old dude thing.
No, he's not an old dude. He's about our age, and you know, he's still got a good head on his shoulders, and he speaks about, you know, what's on the up and coming and what's on the plans.
Or English?
He's American. He's definitely American. So, anyways, let's see. One of our episodes, we didn't get to talk very much about, about a work of what happens when one composer of a nationality tries to write in the style of another nationality. I mean, it happens quite often, actually. We have French composers, Russian composers, you know, trying to write pieces that sound Hispanic.
Yeah.
Okay. Perhaps Espanol.
Yeah. Brahms and his Hungarian dances.
Brahms and his Hungarian dances. Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
And the fourth movement of the G minor piano quartet.
Yeah.
And
I forgot about that one. Yeah.
Some ways, maybe the third movement of the violin concerto. Maybe.
Yeah.
Kind of way.
A little bit. But I could definitely hear it in the
piano quartet.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's something about Hungarian.
Yeah, I mean, that thing rocks.
Yeah. Wonderful. God, that's one of my favorite pieces.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so, which brings us to our next segment. PSI, all pieces considered.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay.
Oh gosh. There it is again. I hear typing.
Are you sure?
I'm positive that's typing.
Okay.
You don't hear it?
I can't hear it from my side.
Oh gosh. I could definitely hear it. It happens every single time. See, now the popcorn smell's gone. Well, anyways, viewers, Welcome to PSI, all pieces considered. So, anyways, I thought I'd try something new today when we introduce these these segments. So I sort of prelude into it. But here I bring to you, and it's a work I brought over once for you. Abram Chasins.
Oh, you brought that?
Yes,
you did. See?
Abram Chasins, 3 Chinese pieces.
Was it Chasins or Chasins?
I don't know how to pronounce it.
I think it was Abram Chasins.
Oh, there it is. I was looking all over for this thing. Here's my notes. Okay, Abram
Chasins.
Chasins. Take a good look at it. It's published by Alfred Masterworks. This is brand spanking new, folks. You can still smell it. It's a beautiful cover. This work was brought attention to me from when I was cleaning up the archives, and I have old sheet music of the second and third movement.
Oh,
so
I only knew the third one.
Okay.
The third one's a Hong Kong thing. Right?
Yeah, Rush Hour at Hong Kong.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, so I
didn't even know
called
there
up.
was 3 of them.
I know, I didn't know either, but I called up. Who did I call up? I called Graves.
Oh, great.
Graves, because I know that they're still ordering music from these guys.
Is it Alfred?
It's Alfred.
Yeah.
It's Alfred.
Yeah.
So, anyways, and they said that it does exist, and so I got us a couple copies. But the 3 Chinese pieces, they were composed in 1926. Abram Chasins. I still can't pronounce his name. Chasins. Okay. Born 1903, died in 1987. He studied piano and with Ernest Hutchinson, composition with Reuben Goldmark at Juilliard.
Yeah.
Eventually would study piano with Joseph Hoffman at Curtis.
Yep.
He married the concert pianist Constance Keene.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're married. Let's see, somewhere along the way, the pieces became so popular that he eventually orchestrated them, and they were performed by the New York Philharmonic, conducted by Arturo Toscanini.
Wow.
And supposedly he says that it was the first time Toscanini actually had conducted an American work. I'd venture to say which one came first, this one or the Gershwin.
I have that recording of Toscanini conducting Gershwin.
Yeah.
Remember?
I brought it in once. Yeah.
So, did I buy it too, or did I listen to your copy?
You listen to my copy.
Okay, but wow. I was very impressed with what a great job Toscanini did with the Gershwin.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the guy was Michael Jackson at the time of composers, and deserved the reputation. And everybody was playing his music, including Toscanini.
Yeah.
And very impressively, the performances were stupendous. They were wonderful.
Absolutely.
I wasn't sure what you get,
Yeah.
But there were some conductors back in those days that were really making American music popular.
Yep.
And before the Second World War, Stokowski did a tremendous amount of work with Philadelphia in the years that he was there. Holy smokes. Yeah. There's some wonderful YouTube videos up of him doing some really cutting edge contemporary works. And magnificent performances of him. Yeah. And Fritz Reiner even did some stuff with Chicago, things like that. I don't know if he's much into the American stuff, but anyway.
Anyways, yeah. These are not, to this day, these pieces are not very popular. I went on YouTube to see how many people are actually performing these works, and I only found like maybe 3 or 4 videos of people.
I have an idea about that, don't you?
You have an idea?
Idea. Why?
Why?
Well, you know the David Saperton music?
Yeah.
Of the little pickaninnies sitting out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what's his name? Paul Guillen.
Oh, yeah, it's not David Sickerton, that's right.
Or David Guillen, sorry.
David Guillen.
Guillen. Yeah.
The racism.
Racism?
Old-fashioned stuff.
Oh.
Because they even say in the titles about the little pickaninnies, you
Yeah.
know, dancing and doing their little songs and stuff.
Yeah.
Out off the back porch kind of thing.
Yeah.
This is a very stereotypical view of the Chinese.
Yeah.
And it's portrayed by an American Jew.
Yeah.
This is, I mean, the picture's gorgeous. You see the?
Yeah, I saw the
Did you
picture.
show him the picture?
Yeah, look here, I'll show it. I thought I did.
And inside is by a fellow, I don't know if he's English or not, but it hangs in the Corcoran Museum in Washington, D.C. Very classy. This is Canton Street. Well, I mean, when I was growing up, and I don't know, I mean, and it was true for a long time here in America. I mean, one of the best examples is really great. Remember The Christmas Story?
Yeah.
The movie?
Yeah.
Peter and the whole
Yeah.
bunch?
Yeah.
The Christmas Story was based in, was it Indiana or Cleveland?
I believe it was, well, the house is actually in Cleveland, but I
But
think
it was
it's
based in
the story's
Indianapolis,
based in
right?
Indiana.
Yeah. So in that movie, you guys, if you don't know the author, you gotta watch that movie. It's hilarious. But at the end, they were supposed to have turkey dinner and all the fixings and everything
Yeah.
at the house, but the dogs, the Bumpus dogs,
The Bumpus dogs
come over
comes
and
in.
get break in the kitchen and eat
Yeah.
everything. He takes them to the Chinese restaurant for Christmas.
Yeah, and they're all singing Jingle Bells.
Jingle bell, jingle bell. Yeah. Oh, it's so racist in a way. But I just remember, I've traveled around the world. I've really seen cultures. I've experienced. One of the most flexible cuisines in the world is Chinese food.
Oh, absolutely.
Wherever you go, I've had Chinese food in Kyoto. I've had Chinese food in Singapore. I've had Chinese food in Germany. I've had Chinese food in Norway. And God knows I've had Chinese food around America. It changes according to the tastes. You know?
It does.
It was very Japanesey and very Oriental-y and very much like weirder in Japan.
Yeah.
But it's still, the people that were there, I said, so is this really more like the way you guys have in China? No, so. This is made for Japanese taste.
Yeah.
They're wonderful that way. But, I mean, for the longest time in America, there's still a place, what's it called, Hotei or Hotai? Down there off of High Street in downtown Columbus.
Don't know.
Well, when you go past the Capitol, and there's a peanut shop, and then on that street as it goes down a little bit, down the hill, there was that huge lit up sign. Now there's a guy that's bought the place. It's like 3 or 4 stories tall. And he's going to have a restaurant and convert it into multi-use space for, IT young people and stuff like that. But they're going to keep, I think they're going to keep the sign. It's like a huge 2-story lantern. Looks kind of like a Chinese lantern that says Hotei or something like that.
Wow.
But, well, this is kind of fits in a little bit because I'm saying what you said about it. What's the really good Chinese restaurant that's over there on 161 with like President Bush actually ate there one time?
Jeez.
It's a big, huge lions out front.
Well, there's either Hunan House.
Hunan House.
Yeah.
You ever been in it?
Long time ago.
Well, there's one somewhere out in West Columbus. They may still be open. Sadly, and I think partially due to COVID stuff eventually, Hunan House over in the eastern part of Columbus shut down. Oh my God, it had these huge dragons.
Yep.
Lion dragons. Lions.
Yeah.
And then you go inside, and then they had these massive, I mean, even I could have jumped in one of them and hid. Huge Chinese vases, all this stuff.
Yep.
You walk in, of course, there's the bar, and then there's seating, and if you go back far enough, they got like Las Vegas tables.
Lots of
monster huge tables that could fit 30 or 40 people at one big circular table. The whole supper club thing with the big bar and the Mai Tais with the little umbrellas and all that, and chop suey type cooking. Oh my God! Remember those crispy things that came in a can? That's part of the chop suey thing, right?
Yeah, I think those are the
nasty vegetables and chicken with the rice, and then they put that crinkly stuff on top. Oh, God. Well, believe it or not, I used to more or less eat food like that when I first ate Chinese food. I've subsequently become quite a connoisseur.
Yeah.
and rather picky about where I go and eat. But I think it's because, to be honest, come on, man, you're Filipino.
Yeah.
It's different with you guys, perhaps, in some ways, maybe.
Yeah,
but
not that.
Well, maybe not so much. What I was going to say is, now black people might argue we're still struggling to get our equality and stuff, but there was never like a Martin Luther King or a Malcolm X for the Asian Americans, right?
No, there wasn't.
And it's kind of weird because the Asians in America, now I'm speaking for our foreign watcher people, if there are any out there.
Yeah.
Chinese came in the 19th century especially and worked a lot on the railroads. They're hugely important for helping to build the railroads, especially out in the western part of the United States. And otherwise then, they would show up at mining camps or settlements and stuff around the west. And they always had the laundromats. They'd be famous. Take your clothes, get them washed by Chinese people.
Yeah.
Oh, and then if you were into made from poppies, right? Heroin, was it?
Yeah.
In the pipes? Opium, yeah.
Yeah.
You smoke opium. They'd have the opium tents or dens or houses or whatever. And sometimes prostitution, but that wasn't as big a deal as the drugs and then the work that they did. And then, of course, in California, eventually, as more of them came over, they had legitimate businesses, and there's a lot of import going on, and big vegetable stand kind of things, and all that kind of stuff.
I gotta pick this up.
Okay. But the Asians came over more or less free, but there was always pretty bad racism, and there was an exoticism about it that some people thought was very interesting and exciting, but a lot of people just thought if there were human beings that could be thought of as aliens, like aliens,
yeah.
it was Oriental people. Because obviously they looked different, and languages were so different, and in certain ways cultures were different. Yeah. And I thought about that, this until, there's Oriental kids in college and stuff like that in our generation.
Oh, yeah.
And as I said to the camera, they had to really work hard to succeed, because the parents knew.
Oh, gosh,
if you don't, you don't stand a chance in hell in this country. They really pushed them hard. But I think finally, maybe the 80s and the 90s, they started to become just more mainstream and accepted. You see them more on MTV and the cultural things, and maybe they're becoming a little bit more mixed into the whole melting pot thing. But then recently, what was the reason for that? In the 2010s? I was still in Cyprus until 12, but there was some kind of violence that was being perpetrated on Asians. What was the reason for that?
Wow.
For a while?
Yeah.
Some real bad stuff that broke out. Was it because of that guy that went loose in Virginia University or something? He was shooting people, and people reacted to that. Remember, there's another one where the guy didn't speak really good English, and he came over. He needed help with his sister or younger sibling at home, and he was gibbering, the white guy said, and he shot him in the face on his front porch. And the guy was just trying to ask for help. But there was some not good awakening of racial stuff.
We could go through a whole list, telling the truth. The one that, in the Asian community, the one that's pretty much written down in the history books as far as Asians in America is the 1871 massacre in L.A., what is now L.A., where the 18 Chinese people were guys, 18 of them, were massacred by 1/10 of that population that was in the town. 1/10. That is what is in the history books, right?
Wow.
They said it was 10%. There was hundreds of them, and there was only 18 guys. And the youngest one left afterwards. The youngest one was 15, and he didn't make it out either. As a matter of fact, it's strange. I used to get into these paranormal ghost shows to watch on TV, and I won't mention the name of the team that went in there, but they actually went to the very spot where the massacre took place.
Is this in West Korea now?
No, this is in L.A., what is now L.A.
In
California.
old LA proper.
Yeah. So it was 1871, and it wasn't. As a matter of fact, I'm not sure about the actual details of it, but some of the population were actually Hispanic that were involved in the
persecuting the Orientals.
Yeah. So some of them were, but I don't know the whole full background of why it took place. Supposedly there was, the Asians at that time were getting attacked on all sides, even by their own people. Okay, there was even the Chinese communities and Asian communities. They had their own little gangs and factions and going on, and just for some reason, it was sort of. I remember one story being somewhat related to a sort of Romeo and Juliet kind of story, where one family's daughter was secretly seeing the son of this guy, and their families were like total opposites.
One of those Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah, that's what I said, Romeo and Juliet, and that's what started the big gang war, basically. Anyways, folks, I apologize, but I had to give answer to a phone call I was sort of expecting. Abram Chasins.
Yeah, we got off on a tangent.
We did get off.
I think that's why there probably isn't a lot of performing it, but I would look at this as historic performance practice of a work from a period of time when the attitudes were different.
But you know what, though? I've already played through this piece. There is nothing disrespectful about this music.
No,
I'm sorry.
Sure.
There's not. I mean, there's the music here is beautiful. Yeah. Okay, if anything, it pays respect to the history of China. Okay, if it's Chinese, okay, it's Chinese. And there's some Chinese mannerisms. The first movement itself is called a Shanghai Tragedy. And the opening bars, for Pete's sakes, the first thing in my mind that just cropped up was the 1871 massacre. It was the first thing that, I kid you not. I just hear this, the opening chords, and it's solemn, it's respectful. The melody is beautiful. It's sad. It's mournful. There's even a section here that almost sounds like an oratory.
Wow.
Okay, it's reminiscent. It almost sounds like an oratory, personally. And despite the rather funny title, "Flirtation in a Chinese Garden," it's a beautiful piece of music. Okay, it's well written. There's nothing. Personally, I'm Asian. I find this very respectable music. Okay, maybe sometime in a later feature, another episode, I could talk a little bit more deeper about this work. I even had my notes here. The work has been performed and in the repertoire of Joseph Levine, William Capel, and Shura Cherkassky used to perform this work.
Levine played it?
Oh yeah, Joseph Levine played these.
I think I've heard Cherkassky playing them.
Yeah.
Possibly I've got him on a recording. I have a whole bunch of his recordings.
Yeah.
Because he knew the crowd.
Yeah.
He studied with Hoffman, right?
Yeah, he did.
And about the same time as this guy, wouldn't he?
Probably, yeah.
1920s, 30s.
Yeah.
He came in a little bit after that. I think he was in there in 1940 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Last movement, dedicated to David Saberton.
Oh, there.
Godofsky's son-in-law.
Yeah.
So, but anyways.
Well, I didn't mean to sound so woke or whatever the word is about that, but that was just my thinking about because I have programmed the David Guillaume.
Yeah.
What is that piece called?
It's called Harmonica Player.
Harmonica Player.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a Gottschalk piece in a way.
Yeah, it is.
Sounds like it. Was he from the South, David Guillaume?
David Guillaume. Well, David Guillaume's from Texas. David Guillaume, his father was a famous cattle rancher. He bought prize bulls and
But this was written back in the 20s or something. So.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, something like that. But if you look on YouTube, David Guion actually gives a interview to a prestigious national news network.
Really?
And so it's a beautiful interview.
And the harmonica player is one of the few pieces in the suite, as I recall. Isn't it?
I don't know for sure. I have to do my research on that. But he's an interesting composer, by the way.
No, look. There's always going to be. Let's put it this way: music is a reflection. Often, generally, it's a reflection of the times that it's arising in, whatever's going on.
Yeah.
And I've always thought. I was glad of it when we were at Wittenberg. I know that this is on some program that we recorded, but it never made it up online. We used the same Cambridge, Yale books that they used to teach sociocultural history, and then at the same time studying musical forms in context with the history. That's what we used at Wittenberg. Now, I really enjoyed that integrated approach. Now, not everybody did. Trudy Faber, our Baroque teacher, used Bukowski's book on the Baroque and taught with some other additional materials. One thing that they all agreed on, though, was the historic series. I forget who did it, but there's like a Renaissance, a medieval period, there's Baroque, there's classical, famous writing, people writing. And
I think
at different periods of time.
Like that thick.
No, these are kind of small.
Oh, they're smaller?
They're paperback series of, I'll get it out, maybe it's next time show it to you, but historical writing. But anyway, I liked the integrated sociocultural and theoretic music theory history together. We have rigorous German style theory in the first year. That was like boot camp. If you didn't survive, if you survived the first year, like I said at times before, I started out with, there were 14 of us in the beginning class in the fall. That had withered down to 8 the beginning of the second year when we started these period classes. And the first one to get hit with is Dr. Waller's Medieval and Renaissance Music. By the second week, we were down to 6 of us. We lost 2 people. And then I'm saying, before we'd already lost almost half the number from the first year. They became music education people because the performance classes were really hard, really tough. By the time I graduated, there was only 2 of us that made it to the end.
Wow, 2 of you.
2 out of originally 15.
Wow.
But I liked we studied everything in context, so we knew sufficiently what was going on politically, religious-wise, especially in the older days, the various things that were happening, famous historical events and so forth, because I learned a theory, which I think is actually true, that in the arts, music is usually the last one to reflect the period. Did you learn that too? I mean, usually it's the writers that are directly influencing or part of what's happening in a period of time. And then the painters are doing stuff, and the music has a way of conservatively moving and adapting to shifts in things as time goes on. That's the way I kind of was thought to think about it. Music isn't generally revolutionary and leading.
No,
it tends to be a little reacting to changes, things like that. And I think that for me personally, it just led to an appreciation for imagining myself in that period of time, in that venue, and what it would have been like to hear it. Like, I was thinking about that famous concert when Beethoven, he rented the theater, Theater am Wien, right?
Mm-hmm. Something like
that. And there was, 2 symphonies, 2 piano concertos, God knows what else.
I remember seeing some of those programs.
It was extraordinarily long concert. Yeah. And it was cold. They talk about it was in the theater and stuff. But I don't think it wasn't the ninth, because that was a special.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
But I think it was like maybe the 7th and 8th symphonies, or the 6th and 7th, and then I think the Emperor Concerto, and probably the 4th as well, together. That's a big program.
That is a very big program.
In the cold, in the winter.
Yeah, and people came anyway.
And they came anyway. I would have loved to be there. Another time, I think about historic moments. When Horowitz arrived in New York and met up with Rachmaninoff, and they went to the Steinway basement for him to choose a piano to use. Yeah. And he sat down, and once he found his piano, Rachmaninoff knew he played the third. He said, "I want to hear you do it." Rachmaninoff sat on the piano next to him. Completely, nobody had a score. Yeah. Rachmaninoff didn't have anything but the course. Sat down and played the entire orchestra part from his heart, you know, with Horowitz just going away on the piece. Yeah. This was a bit back in the Albert Coates.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it would.
With that recording.
Yeah.
And after he was done, I just loved this, you know, after he was done, you know, Horowitz said, "Well, I'm sorry, sir, I have to go to my hotel and get cleaned up. We've got a rehearsal stuff." And when he walked away, Rachmaninoff was quoted as having said to some of the Steinway guys around him, "This Horowitz, he plays this concerto better than I do." Yeah. I mean, there's just so many wonderful moments. So then I've approached the music from that kind of historical perspective. Yeah. This is when I was the director. I'll shut up in a minute. That's all right. I was director of the Boulder Unitarian Universalist Church. We had a really great music program, great choir. There's a lot of people that we brought in to do things. Well, what I did with the choir, I mean, they were kind of with it. I mean, Boulder is Boulder. It's a progressive town, period. University of Colorado and all that. I mean, I'm pretty sure that, I mean, it's probably gotten a little more conservative with the influx of people with a lot of money. Yeah. But basically, Boulder is Bernie Sanders territory kind of place, you know. Yeah. So, and the Unitarians, you know, I love the symbol there, the flaming chalice, surrounded in a circle by all the great symbols of the religions and world spiritual paths that people do. Usually a dozen of them. Yeah. With the idea that that which inspired all of them is somewhere in the middle of all of that. God, or the God mind, or the Holy Spirit, or something which the chalice represents. But they were a little, you know, cautious about, because there was Jews in there, there was pagans, there was disaffected Christians and so forth. So the hymnal is a bit different in terms of the words. Sometimes popular hymns, but the words have been changed. Yeah. So when it came down to doing big classical works, I just said to them, I said, look, I said, most of the great composers were writing at a time when either the Catholic or the Lutheran Church were the big boys in town. And there's something in there that you can't bear to say, then you guys get together and change it, but otherwise we're going to do it the way it's written. Yeah. Once in a blue moon they changed a word here or there because they thought it would be offensive. Yeah. You know. But we managed to do all kinds of things, and I just always put it in a sense of historic performance setting. You know, let's go back and see what this movement from the great work of Schubert or somebody sounded like back at that time. And I always tried to set it up a little bit, like what it would have been like and historically what was happening. Yeah. So they kind of could get it that way. And then we had actually some people very excited about Baroque music. Mm-hmm. So then we had players that came in with different things. And we did wonderful rounds and motets and things like that. I would say I have a small C Catholic or universal appetite for most music. Hell, I was listening to Charles Ives this morning at breakfast. Yeah. At breakfast. At breakfast? Breakfast? Yeah. Oh, it's too early. It's oatmeal. Listening to Charles Ives. But it's just such wonderful things, and I'm glad you bring it in. Yeah. But when you said that they hadn't performed it much, I was thinking all of a sudden, wouldn't it be some people could be offended. But I think the way that you have to get around that is like, I mean, some people get really radical, like, historically, some of the earliest proponents of Wagner's music were Jews.
Mm-hmm.
Some people who still very much love Wagner's music are Jewish.
Yeah, absolutely.
Barenboim's one, for example.
Yeah.
And yet his music, as I understand, I believe, it's still forbidden to be played in Israel. Think about people, if they wanted to, is that what that word woke means? It's kind of like with it, very presently political.
That's a tough one.
Well, so maybe I shouldn't use the word because I don't know what exactly.
That's a tough one. Yeah.
But I was thinking, like, we looked at Louis Moreau Gottschalk a while back.
Yeah.
On his day, and he's from Louisiana.
Yeah.
You know, black people down there were slaves.
Yeah.
You know, and he continued to have them. Now, I don't think they did have slavery in Brazil, but I don't know when he was down there. They still did.
Yeah.
But he had servants and such. They were all Brazilian people. So you're going to not play Louis Moreau Gottschalk?
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
He was part of, you know, slave owner type people and things like that. I like to, somebody said a while back, and I've always thought about this myself. Life, an individual life, corporate life, or the entire life of civilization is like a tapestry. People weave their stories into it as life goes on. It's there for you to remember. Maybe you don't know what it all means, but at least it's there, and you can, you know, perhaps be reminded of it.
Yeah.
If you choose to delete certain parts because you're so bothered by it, then there's a hole in your tapestry. And whatever it was about that might have disturbed you, you've affected any future person's ability to know what happened there.
Yeah.
And perhaps to learn those lessons from it. You know, I always like the thing where you can always work to forgive people for things. I mean, who of us haven't suffered abuse in one way or another?
Yeah.
It's the nature of life on this planet. Some people way worse than others, but I grew up in a physically abusive, very terrible home due to my mother. And I think she had emotional issues, but she was brutal. So I know about being beaten within an inch of your life. And I'm not, you know, that's all. I wouldn't say, but I haven't forgotten it for sure. That's the thing I was going to say. Yeah, it's best if you find a way to forgive.
Yeah.
And if anything, what's important is forgive yourself. Because oftentimes we somehow get connected with blaming ourselves for being victimized. But forgive yourself, and hopefully put the matters to rest with the other person, whether you ever have a relationship with them again. But you don't forget it.
Yeah.
It's not a question of forgetting it, but it's perhaps a question of putting it in a timely perspective.
Yeah.
That it was what it was.
Yeah.
You know? So I'm glad you brought it in. I actually
Sure thing.
started to look at it. I was thinking of maybe learning it. Actually, I won't remember this. I'll put this down on tape.
Right.
I would really like to borrow it if it's possible.
Yeah.
One, because I can't find it anywhere. It's not in the IMSLP.
Is it the fire?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Halster.
The Halster. Okay.
I can't find a copy of that.
Okay, I'll bring it.
I'd like to.
Yeah, I know. You could borrow it.
Yeah. So, because I was really impressed with the music.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful.
I did that Monpou stuff a while back.
Monpou, yeah.
And I'm very drawn to, and I love Torina's accompaniments of the songs that I played with Emily years ago.
Yeah.
I'm really drawn to the Spanish music.
Oh yeah, especially when it comes from the fire.
Well, and his stuff looked really cool.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I played, what's his name? The great pianist, Granados.
Granados? Or Albaniz? Or
No, well, Albaniz, yes, but no, Granados.
Granados? Okay.
Danzas Españolas.
Yeah.
I played several of those. And The Maiden and the Nightingale. solo piano arrangement.
Goya Skis.
For the Goyaskas. Yeah, I've always loved that stuff.
Yeah.
And there's some other things that I did a program years ago, and I've got a recording of it, where I did Arthur Rubinstein in Spain.
Oh, yes.
And I read excerpts from his biography the first time he goes to Spain in the 30s. Yeah. And they just totally fell in love with him.
Yeah.
He went from having just a handful of concerts to like sometimes 3 in one day. I mean, they wanted him so bad.
Yeah.
And eventually he became an adopted
popular
son in the Hispanic community, both in Europe and in South America. They loved Arthur Rubinstein. And what I did in the show was to read excerpts from his tales and experiences, but in different places in Spain.
Yeah.
And then I found music by composers from those places in Spain and played it as a way of telling the whole story.
You remember that photograph he took of
With
himself with the
pants.
Toreador outfit?
He puts on a Toreador outfit, but he has the cloak in front of him because he said he was too fat and he couldn't get the pants.
He couldn't get the pants. Yeah, that was great.
He wasn't really fat, but
No,
he was
but
too
he
big
couldn't
for
close the pants. You gotta admit, those guys are,
Yeah,
pretty
kind of,
fit.
and they're
Yeah, so
and sometimes on the short side,
yeah.
actually.
So
Well, I thought this was good. Wasn't this good?
yeah, it was very good. It was very good.
We looked at some interesting stuff.
Oh, we did look for some interesting stuff. And by the way, the phone call I received was from a student.
Oh,
Okay, but at the same time, my wife texted me, so I've got some gems to bring in the next couple of weeks here. If you're stick around, because it's going to get.
no, has she been out?
Yeah, she's been out. She
Drifting?
has she's
Drifting?
been out for 2. She's got today and tomorrow off,
Yeah.
and she went out for me and she found some stuff for me. She says,
cool.
he says, you got to come home. She told me I got to come home quick. She says she found something that will definitely be impressive. So
Wow.
I can't wait to find out what
That's
it is.
exciting.
So, but yeah, come back again. Hold on, because we're about. I think when Kathy says come home quick, I have something for you.
I think our boys will be not next week, but maybe in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
I think it's a 3-week camp.
Yeah.
I think, but if they don't get sent home,
Oh gosh.
because they've been, as I understand, carrying on, but getting a little trouble. Fun trouble.
Oh yeah.
They're not bad.
Well, we'll
boys.
find out when they get
They're
back.
good boys.
Well, folks, it was a very good show today. I enjoyed myself thoroughly. Hope you did too. Okay. If you enjoyed our content, you enjoyed our company, enjoyed our topics, please give us a like, thumbs up. All right. Subscribe. Tell your family, friends, neighbors, co-workers how much you like the show. Otherwise, we'll see you again next week. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
This is.
You tell them.
Yeah.
Well, you tell them.
Okay.
This
is Mark.
And this is Elmer.
And
We are PSI, Piano Seed Investigations. Bye, everybody.
Bye.